right, hello and welcome to this episode of Super Geeks. I'm Justin, the producer of the show, and this week we are waiting on Ross and everybody else to show up who is decidedly late as usual. I am joined by my co-host Greg and Son. And Greg, how the hell are you?
Wow, Justin, that was a heck of an intro. You're stepping up in the world. Doing good. I'm up here in Albuquerque visiting my best friend. Had some fun today at a big giant bounce house. Got back from dinner, and that's his son right here next to me. So we're
Hello.
gonna be we're gonna be talking about Sonic. We're gonna be talking about Star Trek, mostly Star Trek, but we got other fun stuff to talk about too.
Yeah, and we will be just touching on the lighter subjects first while
Yes.
we wait on our other co-hosts to join. If they join, if not, we will just jump right into our reviews. Son, how the hell are you?
You see, the reason he was so fast is because he's just frustrated. Yeah, he was like, no, we got to get this done. It's time to get it done. So we're here.
Well, I don't know if Justin was mad, but he was just very fluent. It's very rare Justin's fluent like
No,
that.
it's frustration. It's not
It's
being
also
mad. It's just
yeah,
frustration.
well, it's also a sign of not being stressed and being in a new environment where I don't have to worry about a screaming fire alarm every 5 minutes interrupting the show or
That's
otherwise,
true.
or wearing big clunky headsets that give me a headache. Oh, love it. All right, son, how the hell are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm really glad that I was correct. You weren't here last week, Greg, but last week my background was a picture of the Asian guy, the diplomat guy, doing his little scan analysis of the 10C. And I said,
Mm.
that's literally the 10C, their structure, and they look like the Leviathans from the Mass Effect series. Well, wouldn't you know?
Yay for discovery artists taking cues from other things.
Well, see, that's not the only thing. That whole scene on the planet, if you
Hmm.
it's even down here in the bottom right of this picture. That little section is
Yeah.
filled with like glowing spires that are reminiscent of Dead Space. The obelisk
Ah,
things from Dead Space.
nerds, gotta love them.
Wait,
Yeah.
I missed last. I did miss last week, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you did. And
Good
what was
lord.
it? What were you? What was it last week?
Hey, you missed last week, but that's okay because you missed another 3 hour tour.
Oh my god, it went 3 hours. It really did. That's not happening this week.
We lost Jason before we got to Picard.
Yeah.
Oh, I was here for that. He had to go
Are you?
tend to his dog.
Oh yeah, that's right. You had to leave. You had to leave early, didn't you?
I didn't leave early. Jason did. He
Oh,
just
maybe
bowed
that's what
out
it
without
was.
telling us.
Okay, that's what it was. Let's see. And
We didn't have Ross last week. We had Carlos.
yeah, that's what
No,
it was. We
no.
were short. We were short Ross.
I've slept quite a bit since then.
Oh, and speaking of sleep, I have been getting my like more than 4 hours of sleep, and my body don't know what the hell to do with itself.
It's
So it's
called
freaking
having
amazing.
it's called having energy.
Lots of it. So I shouldn't be falling asleep during the show. Yeah,
That's hopeful.
well,
Also,
as long as
also to our lovely audience, say hello to Justin, who looks like the old man from Up.
fuck you,
Yes.
son.
That's a compliment more than any fucking thing. That dude lived a full ass life,
Yes.
and then on top of that has one last grand freaking adventure with a kid
Uh,
So we got to find Justin a Boy Scout who's trying to get his badges
and a talking
no,
dog.
and
no,
a talking dog. Okay.
no. I got a cat that tries to talk. That's bad enough.
Well, in the meantime, since we're still waiting for our co-hosts, we're going to talk about our lighter topics. And one of our lighter topics is the new Sonic trailer,
Oh my
or the
fucking
new one that
god!
was dropped, which the movie comes out in just about 3 weeks.
I can't wait.
So, Justin, your thoughts? Did you see the trailer?
Yes, I did. It was fucking amazing. I cannot wait for this. Even I mean, the characters look so well fleshed out. Knuckles and Eggman this time around is full on Eggman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got almost a classic look, and even the toys, the robots. It's fucking awesome. I can't wait. I was very excited when I seen this.
Son, I know you were itching too. What'd you think of the trailer?
Oh, she was hopping during the
Okay,
show.
so I have to admit this because this would have been part of what we're watching this week. It took me about 2 days, but I've actually finally saw the Sonic movie this past
Okay.
week.
Oh, the original one?
Yeah, I finally got to see it because I realized I was like, hey, it's Friday. Let me go watch Discovery, and I see the Sonic movie on the Paramount app, and I'm like, oh, okay, here it is. Let's watch this now. Holy crap, that movie is really good.
Yes, it was. It was fun. I loved it.
Then I didn't even see it on the I haven't looked at the Trello at all this week. I'm just
Aw.
scrolling through. I'm scrolling through a friend's Twitter feed, and there's the trailer right there as we're getting ready for the show, and I'm like, "Holy shit, this is really good! This is really good." Yeah, no, Eggman's got his little flying
Found
thing.
car.
Yeah, his little leg car thing. Finally, um, dude, that's an Elon Musk Dragon capsule that he lands in.
Oh God, son.
It is. It's that little egg capsule that Elon Musk loves so fucking much. But interestingly enough, it's also the egg capsule. If you've ever played EVE Online, it is your capsuleer capsule.
Yep.
I in the trailer absolutely love that it opens up at his sister-in-law's wedding, and the ringtone is the OG Sonic theme. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, the Green Hills theme. Where are they from? Green Hills.
Green Hills. Oh, I loved it. And then of course he's like, "Throw the ring and save me!" And then of course all this snow in Hawaii.
No. The first thing is the phone goes off, and she literally turns around and goes, "Thomas!"
And then when they come through, she's like, "Oh my God, there's two of them."
It's great.
Oh man, it's gonna be excellent mayhem. We get our first look at the Chaos Emerald. Robotnik is back in full force, and of course, bringing the Kitten Warrior Knuckles. And oh man, I'm gonna love that showdown between him and Knuckles. It's gonna be great.
It really does. They did try to cram as much Sonic 2 into this movie as possible.
They did.
Like trailer?
Tails, well, not even the trailer. It looks like they're going to cram so much of it into the movie itself. Tails in his airplane, all that stuff.
And there's at least 3 Robotnik robot bosses that we see, from the giant one to the simple flying one. So there's at least 3 of them in there. But it's gonna be a fun movie. They're finally getting video game movies right, so it's just hopefully this one does well and keeps the trend going.
I mean, maybe they'll actually go back there and make another Mario movie that's good.
I don't. So here's the thing. I don't hope that it continues a trend or anything. I hope it forces other people to sit down and take a look at the properties that they're doing and go, okay, this is what they did. They stuck to a bunch of the source material and as faithfully as possible tried to recreate it in now with all the technology we have. Mm-hmm. And that's where I will give Super Mario Brothers a whole bunch of credit. I mean, granted, I'm probably biased here because I actually liked that movie. But come on. They did the best that they could do for the technology that they had at the time. Unless you want the Super Mario Brothers movie to look like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Do you really want that?
Okay, I give you that. So we're gonna have a Mario Brothers like Framed Roger Rabbit, or it was gonna be Tron.
And they didn't go the Tron route. They kind of went the Dune route almost. Yeah, kind of in a way they did.
But yeah, so let's see here. What other topics do we have? What other small topics do we have? We knock out real quick.
Another topic. Well, would you want to knock out a Star Trek topic?
Let's hold on to Star Trek topics. How about the Halo live action series with the new final trailer?
I think it's actually more fascinating what was said, what was admitted by the writers of the Halo series this week.
Well, what that
What was
was.
that?
So they actually, in an interview, admitted that even though they were writing the Halo series, they never played a Halo game, period, at all, even while they were
Oh,
writing the series.
Oh
oh
no.
God. Oh no. I didn't want to know that.
Which makes so much sense given the flack that this series has taken, simply because they're creating an entirely new Spartan that is like quote unquote better than Master Chief, when there literally are two other women Spartans that can do that and have done that.
Oh boy.
And I didn't know that, but I did hear this. From what I understand, this Halo series is taking place present day, so it's 2022
what?
when this is happening. Yeah, that's my
Why?
understanding. I don't know, but that's my understanding that it's taking place present day versus in the future, like the game.
Yeah.
Well, oh my God, Carlos has arisen, and it's the worst one himself.
There we go.
Mr.
There's
Carlos is here.
Arisen.
There we go.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. And I
Well,
use those terms loosely,
well,
except for Sun.
well, Carlos, since you just joined in, how the hell are you this week?
I am good. It has been a hell of a week at work, but I managed to survive, so I'm happy I'm able to join you guys tonight.
What's with the tactical body camera there, Carlos?
Not actually a body camera. It is. It's just a speaker. It's a Bluetooth speaker that I use for. It's actually really cool. It weighs 39 grams only, so it's really light, and you can attach it with either a clip like this,
Just
or
so you can
it
have
has-
music while you eat.
It's magnetized. It's while I ride my bike, so I can just like set it up like this. It'll be close to my ear. That way, only I hear it. You have to be like really close to it to hear it, and I don't bother other people with my somewhat dubious taste in music.
I see you're
Bother
rocking
them.
earbuds too this week.
Well, I'm rocking them because of you guys. So
Yeah. But yeah, we're still waiting on Carlos. So we've started on
We
some
have
smaller
Carlos waiting on
topics.
Ross.
We have
We have
Carlos.
me.
We're waiting on
Christ,
Ross.
on Ross, whenever he gets done with whatever it is he's doing. Well, you know what
Wait,
he's
before
doing.
we go any further, Carlos.
No.
Carlos,
yes,
look at Justin.
Look at him.
he looks very smart.
Okay.
Tell me
okay.
he doesn't look like the guy from Up.
Ooh,
No.
he kind of
I'm not-
does.
Oh, God damn it.
It's the glasses, Justin. It's
I
the
know.
glasses.
They're temporary frames, but
It's not a bad
No, they're
thing.
great.
I
The-
know.
no, the guy from
Really,
Up.
what it is.
The guy from Up was an amazing character.
Yeah, he
I don't
was.
know why
Look at
you
his
think it's
compliment.
terrible.
It's not terrible at all. Sun is absolutely correct.
All right. Well, let's see what's the next topic you want to throw. We talked about Sonic. We talked about Halo.
Good, because I have nothing to
Hey.
say on any of
Car-
those topics. So
Carlos, have
Miss
you
Marvel?
you didn't see the Sonic movie? Carlos?
I did not. I
Okay.
did not.
He was not a
Look,
fan.
look. To be fair, I only saw it just this week, so Like-
Okay.
like
I'm not opposed to seeing it because actually I saw the trailer for the next one, and it actually
Mhm.
looked like it was pretty good. So I
Yeah,
have no anti-Sonic sentiment.
Okay. What about the Miss Marvel trailer? You
Oh,
I
that
did
this
see the
week?
Miss Marvel trailer, and I loved it.
Talk about bringing back wonder to the comic book movies like that. And I'm
And
not
the
saying
music. The music.
yeah, the
they were
music was
using.
great.
The music was great, and here's what I love about it more than the comic book. The comic book is great. Don't get me wrong, but one of the things I've always hated about the comic version of Kamala Khan is just the distortion in her hands or like limbs when they grow. They just looks weird. And I think they are depicting it differently on film, and I think it looks much better. So
Yeah,
yay
it's
for
definitely
Kinda
come out
like-
a better film.
It's kind of like what he did in the Avengers video game with the Kamala Khan character there, which I played that game. So yeah, it's kind of almost reminiscent of that. So yeah, it does look a lot better in comics. I agree
And
with
I'm-
you there.
I'm just curious, What does it look like? How do they depict it in the video game?
Kind of the same in little ways, but like it's more of their arm extends with less distortion. But I mean, it's kind of like the same
It
way they
just
done
looks
here.
weird. It just looks like it starts off and then just goes "Bleh," and just like kind of like this.
Kind of like
Weird.
the times that Green Lantern's ring power turns into a giant hand.
Oh, don't talk
Exactly.
about.
That's exactly. I have the same issue.
Okay.
You're absolutely
Okay.
right, son. That is exactly the issue that I have.
Yeah,
I had to bring
is.
a Green Lantern into this.
You captured it perfectly.
Well, it's a common comic book trope, you know? It would make sense.
But
It's first when it's like actual flesh and blood, as opposed to like, this like just energy weirdness, which you could kind of accept a little better just because it's not like real, it's not like, I mean, it's tangible, I guess, because you could punch people. Like that's what Green Lantern would do with it.
Smack them.
See,
exactly.
I would guess the only way you could try and make that more realistic would be to at least give her the Mr. Fantastic treatment with the like Stretch Armstrong ability,
Yeah, see, I think stretching like laterally, you can depict that and it doesn't look that weird. It's just this weird expansion thing. It's like this. It looks weird, uncanny, inappropriate,
it's like going to a 3D movie for the first time.
Yes.
But
those early films for the new 3D were really awkward.
Yeah.
Vision?
Oh my God. So yeah. I'm glad I'm really glad that wasn't a thing that stayed.
God, do you guys okay? So like they've been re-showing the 3D Disney Christmas Carol recently in the past couple of years, and
Greg, why are you doing squats?
Twitch redeemed.
Somebody redeemed me doing squats.
So,
are you making money from this? I hope. I'm sorry to interrupt you, son.
Yeah, no, they
actually definitely am.
Yeah, so, the way it works is if someone redeems bit points on someone who's affiliated channel, they can redeem them to make them do things like squats or do other crazy things like a Nintendo Switch cartridge. We're going to sing mode like they do the Ross
like
review.
Yeah.
Okay, back to you, son.
The 3D Christmas Carol that they showed early on in the 3D days, 5 years ago now? They've cut like so much crap out of that movie because it was literally just showing off the 3D. There's like an entire 2 or 3 minute scene of the Ghost of Christmas Past, which is just the lit candle, right? And it's just like this whole 2 or 3 minute scene of him going and just floating around with this little flamey head. And they've cut that scene in half, and it's like, thank God, because it was so awkward.
Did you guys, are you guys too young to have ever seen Second City Television, SCTV?
I'm probably too young to have seen that, yes.
Okay, so it was basically like Saturday Night Live, except with Canadians. But, people it had like John Candy in it. It had, what's his name from Schitt's Creek. It had all people who went on to become big Hollywood actors, but all Canadians. Anyway, they used to have this bit in it where they were doing like a 3D movie theater thing, and they would do exactly that. And they would, except it wasn't really 3D. They would just go, like one of them was playing a vampire, and it'd be like, "I'm going to get you," and then he'd just go like this back and forth in front of the camera. It was 3D. So
oh my God.
Canadians are funny. Let's just put that on
Look,
the table
look,
right
I'm
now.
laughing. That was hilarious.
It was hilarious. It was great. Funny Canadians.
I'm just imagining Mike Myers doing something like that.
Just Carlos doing it was enough.
Mike Myers dressed as Mike Myers doing that.
Oh my god. Let's see what other topics you want to cover real quick. And we'll go one more, and if Ross ain't here, we will start on our main topics. How about the Game Freak Nintendo announced 2 new Pokemon main series games, but is it too much or too soon? Let's go with that one.
Yes, it is.
Greg, go. Since you are the only Pokemon expert, go for it.
While Carlos is just sounding out
Wait.
yesterday's-
Just one second, Greg, because I
Yeah.
have to know. You're in a different environment this week, and I got to know about the plants. What's going on with the plants?
It's my best friend's house. We're visiting for the weekend, and they're his plants.
One might say you're squatting.
Well, he's good at squatting in other people's houses.
See, I said he had been transplanted this week.
Oh, good one, son.
Son.
We are on fire, Justin. You want to come up with one? Yeah.
Let's see here. He is well planted where he's at. Yeah. He was transplanted into a new home.
Or well hung.
Oh.
Of course you would make that joke, Carlos.
What can I say? I'm talking about the plants.
So the topic at hand that we were going to bring up. So Game Freak and Pokemon Company announced that they're bringing 2 new Nintendo Switch games, the Pokemon Scarlet, Pokemon Violet. The reason they asked, is it too much too soon? Well, they have released several Pokemon games over the last few years, from Sword and Shield to Arceus to remakes of classic games, now these ones. And from a fan of my standpoint, it is too much too soon. In the mobile game Pokemon Go, we're up to the 7th generation. This is the 9th generation they're making. And so a lot of fans are sitting here like, you guys could have waited. Let us finish out within the mobile game. Let us finish out this new game, Legends Arceus. Give us a chance to finish something, enjoy it for a little bit, especially because they're pumping out DLC for Arceus. Then it's like, come on. But yeah, they're announcing these games. It's not that these games are announced like, oh, coming out next year. They come out holidays this year. They're due out in November.
God,
and
that is fast.
It is.
Arceus was just released last year. What are they trying to do? Call of Duty Pokemon?
Arceus was released in January, son. Last week of January.
It sounds like they're trying to Call of Duty Pokemon.
It does. Because from the standpoint we're looking at, Nintendo's slated to release Breath of the Wild 2 at the same time. So they're not pushing that back. So they're going to release 3 massive tentpole games in this holiday. It's like, okay, Breath of the Wild 2, we all knew was coming. We're all ready for that. They could have pushed Pokemon one more year, and we would have been the wiser. Like, okay, you release it next year, but they're pumping it out this year, and then we're sitting here like, okay, what's going to happen now? Because we're at this point, we're essentially running out of games to play.
I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. This seems like a weird change for Nintendo. Nintendo's always been one to kind of stagger their important releases. To throw like 3 huge titles at the same time.
They're releasing a lot this year. Like, if they keep up with the template that they have, they're Breath of the Wild, Pokemon, Splatoon 3. It's like, okay, what's going on now? Why are you pumping out so much?
It makes me wonder what's going on, because that sounds like why are they competing for the first question? Why are they competing with themselves?
Right, that's what it seems like they're doing.
Because you're literally going to be competing with yourself between people buying either Breath of the Wild or Pokemon.
And I'm gonna lean Breath of the Wild. As much as I love playing Pokemon, I will get Breath of the Wild, the sequel, before I get a Pokemon game.
And especially with costs going up, Christmas is going to be a lot tighter this year for a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
Well,
this something is up over at Nintendo, and I don't know what it is. And if it's another Wii U thing, oh my god!
oh
And
please,
see,
God no.
with them releasing Breath of the Wild, if they do stay Breath of the Wild 2, then the speculation is like, okay, are we finally getting a brand new Switch? Because yes, we got the Switch OLED, but if we look at the time frame, Nintendo is due for a Switch, not a Switch, but a console, new generation console. Because Xbox and PlayStation had the 5 and Series X, and on Nintendo's like, they haven't released a new one since 2017. If they don't do it this year, that'll be 6 years since the last release, and that'll be one of their longest gaps.
Yeah,
Well,
they probably.
but at the same time, the Switch still has a lot of life left in it as a
It does.
console.
Yeah.
I think look, Nintendo, for the love of God, if it is a new version of the Switch, you should have been marketing it a year ago already.
Yeah.
Well, what they might be
Because this is
doing.
exactly the same. If that's what's going on, this is the same crap that befell all of the shit that the Wii U fell into as a pit.
Well, honestly, what they might be doing, they might be trying to make sure they have enough supply, unlike what Xbox and PlayStation did at their launch and their upgrade, where nobody could get any.
Too.
And if
But
they
see-
do have something in the works, they're just trying to bide their time to make sure they have enough to cover their own butts.
But that's another issue. Nintendo, from a historical perspective, has always been one on the artificial scarcity thing.
Yeah.
Why would they have this need to have a whole bunch of stuff?
And what this is kind of bringing me up to also, Nintendo does not have any 1080p 60 FPS games.
Mm-hmm.
They do not broadcast in that either. So I was, as much as Breath of the Wild is beautiful, one of the most beautiful games I've ever made, if it was in 1080p 60 FPS, that would blow my mind at that point. So it's like, it makes me wonder if the next Switch they're going to do is going to be a 4K capable, and they might just jump from 720, say, okay, here's 4K, Pokemon, Breath of the Wild 2 are your first 4K games, which it doesn't look like it is, because with the Pokemon trailer, it's very much 720 generic looking game.
I think they're probably going to stay at the if they are making a new Switch, I think they're going to stay at 720 and just have a better upscaling solution. That would be the cheapest and easiest thing for them to do. Because I mean, let's be honest, it's Nintendo. You have to browbeat Nintendo into suing somebody before they'll ever get it in their head, hey, we should actually probably make this a thing. We have to sue people because they want ROMs. I guess we should release some of these games on our eShop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Well, since we got that topic out of the way, you wanted to do the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer and get that out of the way?
We'll give Ross a little bit more time, but yeah, let's talk about this Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer.
Yeah, let's jump in.
Due
I've
out in
seen
May. So, sorry, Justin. So we got our first look at Ewan McGregor returning to the role that we all love him for, and I personally love the way the trailer goes. And the meme has been going on since the trailer dropped. It starts off with the OG Star Wars theme, and then kicks into overdrive with Duel of the Fates.
I loved it.
I got Leia and I both watched it together. Leia got goosebumps watching. I'm like, so did I. I'm like, this is amazing.
I like that theme went so well with it. It was so good.
We had Inquisitors. The Empire is still looking for the Jedi, and they go through the whole Jedi code that for them to do good, for them to help, is like an itch that they have to scratch. And you just see Obi-Wan in the background. Then they get the actor from the Phantom Men, Attack of the Clones. They get the guy who played Uncle Owen, the younger version. He's back as Uncle Owen, so that's great. But it was just absolutely chilling. Unfortunately, to confirm this, Darth Maul is not in this series. It will be Lord Vader.
I'm over him anyway.
Good.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be dead by now.
But Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, has confirmed that he filmed many scenes with Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader. What we don't know, which I think should be given, but what we don't know is James Earl Jones voicing Vader. We do not have confirmation yet.
Oh, they don't. I mean, they gotta have classic James Earl Jones voicing Vader. I mean,
Hey, if they brought it back for Mufasa, they got to bring it back for Vader.
exactly. I mean, at least they have his sound clips or whatnot. They can probably synthesize his voice. I mean, either which way, they gotta have the original voice, or it just doesn't sound
So-
like Vader.
Before we move on, I'll say Carlos next, but we're gonna see a Vader versus Obi-Wan in their prime fight. That's what we're gonna see. I hope so. Carlos, what did you think of the trailer?
I don't know what's happening, Greg, but I keep agreeing with you
Oh my
for
god.
weeks at a time, and I don't know what to do with this. Okay, yeah, basically,
It means you're becoming a variant, Carlos.
Yep, Carlos is a variant.
I hope I'm not a variant of you, Greg, but
No,
I can
you're
deal
your
with
own
being a
variant.
variant of myself. So yes, that's entirely possible. But I will say that I like what I saw for a couple of very important reasons. One is I thought no apostrophe in that, by the way.
Yeah,
Justin.
come on, Justin.
So one is that the notion of Obi-Wan, going to Tatooine and basically just spending, 30 years there, I guess less than that. Yeah, 20 years, I guess, because Luke was just a little kiddie poo. So, which brings up a whole problem I had with the timeline established by the prequels, which is that it was only, less than 30 years, a little over 20, maybe closer to 20 years between episode 3 and episode 4. And that's hardly any time. That's like, the length of a sneeze in cosmic time. And it really wasn't long enough for the Empire to be, the terrible empire that it was originally portrayed to be. Like, when you saw that first set of Star Wars movies, the Empire seemed to be this like really deeply entrenched evil entity that had been around for a really long time, and the Republic was something very, very much in the past. Now it's like it's less than 20 years. It's like, it just makes it feel less epic, I guess.
Okay.
And then the idea that Obi-Wan was just hanging around watching Luke grow up, like, well, how much fun is that going to be as a TV series? But now overlaying the whole, trying to evade the Empire, going after Jedi Knights and potentially going elsewhere to other planets to either help other Jedi or whatever it is he's going to end up doing. But at least it's not stuck on Tatooine. Frankly, there's too much Tatooine.
Yeah,
DMT.
Star Wars lately. Yeah.
DMT. It's like, good God, how many shows have to feature Tatooine? I mean, I get it. It's where Luke grew up. It's where Darth Vader came from. But
Well, we
good
got to
Lord,
deal with it with
it's an
Mando,
entire
and
galaxy
all that.
far, far away. Let's
Look,
look at some of that galaxy.
they got to get their dune some way. The spice must flow. Remember?
I mean, considering
desert
Star
planets.
Wars, considering Star Wars, The New Hope is an unofficial Dune spin-off, they're going to keep using that. So it's like they use Dune
Well,
very
except,
much.
well, yeah, ish. I mean, it's that movie is as much a spin-off of
Dune.
well, no, not just Dune.
Oh.
I mean, it was a lot. Lucas was influenced by a lot of things. He was influenced
Yeah.
by The Seven Samurai. He was influenced by Dune, which at that point was not even a film yet. It was only a book.
Star Trek.
John Carter of Mars, Star
Yeah.
Trek, all of these things are what Star Wars became. So you can't just
That
lay it on his
pisses me
feet like,
off.
oh, he's
So much, though. Like, I only just recently found out what the hell John Carter of Mars was.
Oh my God.
And that fucking Disney film, I hate Disney for that shit. Because it looks like they were
messed it up or what?
they were trying to. Okay, so the whole premise is they were trying to science an
Mhm.
opening for a cinematic universe of John Carter of Mars.
and it fell bad.
That movie is horrible because it has none of the John Carter of Mars shit in it.
I will say,
You wonder
there's
why
actually
it
an entire book about how messed up the production of John Carter of Mars was. And I did not hate that film. I didn't. I just felt like, the problem is they waited probably about 30 or 40 years too long to make it because so many other blockbuster science fiction films, starting with Star Wars and probably even more, were directly influenced by that book. And so by the time they actually made it, it's like, well, audiences are like, we've seen this all before already. And it doesn't feel original, even though it was the original. So it's too bad. I think it just ended up being a completely unlucky production.
No, I think that... Well, go ahead, Justin.
That was before Disney acquired Star Wars, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. If you told
no, it was not.
If you told,
it was before. It was before. Yeah.
If you told a proper John Carter of Mars story, it would still be its own thing. It's literally Conan in space.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Conan in space.
Well, just like Andromeda is Hercules in space.
Ouch.
Well,
I mean, they even at one point he pulls open a drawer and has the hair and the fucking sword from Hercules. I mean, come on.
If we're gonna go that route, then Star Trek Enterprise is Quantum Leap, and that's where the Doctor. That's where he went.
I mean, it's true. It's even got It's even got Scott Bakula in it. So I mean,
and to be fair, it's less Conan in space than it is Tarzan in space. And the reason I say that is because
it's way more Tarzan.
It was written by Edgar Rice Burroughs, the guy who created Tarzan, and arguably Conan copied Tarzan. So again, like Edgar Rice Burroughs came up with all this stuff first. Everybody else copied it, but now that they finally made the movie of it, everyone's like, "This is an original at all," and it is. It's just late.
I'm just that the movie itself, just like you're setting up all of this science crap for stuff you can explain away without having to use science. You don't have to like science us getting to Mars and dealing with John Carter and all this stuff before you get to the fact that there's like this red other moon in the background of all the pictures of him with the orcs and the other lady and his Conan sword and shit. Like, you don't have to set up all this science shit to get to those visuals that are so 80s and beautiful.
Yes, they were beautiful.
The 80s, that was a fun time. What I remember of it. I was born in 81, so I only remember the latter half. I was born in the latter. I remember the latter half of the 80s, not the earlier.
If you were born in 81, how do you look older than Carlos?
It's the glow from the computer. No, it's not the computer. It's not his glasses. It's the glow from the computer. It bouncing off his hair. It gives him like this gray tonsure looking thing on the side of his head.
You're even working your glasses like an old person does.
Let's see. Remove Greg from that.
Shit.
All right.
I'm glad to see you're still bouncing today.
Yes, I am.
Bounce away, please.
Alrighty. Well, I guess since Ross is still no show, I guess he must have gotten tied up on this date night. And
it's that kind of date.
Well, I mean, let's just say that more than likely what has happened is kept him occupied is. Find it.
Justin has to push a right button.
Yeah.
I gotta push the right button, and I gotta, make sure it's the right stuff because I have to watch which one I use so I don't get a copyright slap. Well, you know what? We're just gonna go and do this.
Typically, Justin.
That is way too early for that, Justin.
Yeah,
I know.
Too early, Justin.
Way too early.
typically Justin is on the ball with all this stuff, but I mean, this week he's been a little up about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Carlos, you missed it, Carlos. Justin did a perfect intro. Like he pulled a Ross on the intro. Didn't miss a beat. Did great, and now he's just dropping the ball.
Well, it's just soundboard. It's okay. Well, actually, it's actually good. Well, wait a minute. Just gotta. Oh, someone updating thing. I thought someone was sending a message. Dang it.
I will be right back.
Oh yeah, she had something in the oven.
Oh,
Time to get a Gatorade.
Well, we're gonna move on to our main topic then, since unfortunately we do not have Ross tonight,
Well,
and that is the season finale of Star Trek Discovery, with the episode Coming Home. First off, let's face it. Who knew they were going to make it home? I mean, come on. It's like,
well, it would have been a good setup for another season if they were trying to do a journey home, but not like the whole season. I would have been happy with that.
Okay, we did not need Star Trek Voyager 2.0.
As you know, I poo-pooed that idea last week.
Yes.
This is an alien race that happens to have, some wormholes handy. So, poof.
It made sense. It made sense for this episode. So, okay, I'm going to go first because my review is going to be a little bit quick, and it's going to be very much dissing Discovery at this point. But overall, I did like the finale. It was better than last year's. This was very much more plausible. The communication with Tensi was great. One of my first likes was when I saw Tilly. I'm like, cool, we got Tilly back. We got Tilly back for the finale. We all knew this was coming. Yep. Doing her job very well. Commanding the cadets, getting the evacuation underway.
That evacuation scene.
Yeah, exactly. My next one I loved was leading us with Tilly and Vance getting drunk, knowing to them right there, they know the end is there. They know they're gonna die. And what does Vance do? Here, Tilly, have a drink with me, and they get hammered.
They get hammered.
You just so happen to have 2 flasks.
Wait a minute. Not only are they getting hammered, it's Tarka's supply given to Tarka's the Admiral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and Tilly goes, he's not a bad guy, is he?
Oh, man. It was
the worst, as it turns out.
Okay, aside from the communication with 10C, this was the best scene in the show. The start was Tilly and Vance getting drunk. It was great. And I get it, because they think they're going to die. Like, at that point, they're going to die. Like, okay, you know what, screw it. Let's have a drink. They drop rank, and they're just chatting it up. My next one was Jet Reno. Discovery is so good when they have Jet in there. They give us her sparingly. This was great that she got through the Tarka in a way that distracted him enough. And I'm sorry, one quick one. Tarka, where's the presto changeo button? Is the best description of Book's control for his ship.
Yep, that was a nice line.
One of my and this is I love the little when they're in the force field. Book is like, hey, opens up a cat door for Greg in the force field. That was great.
Yes, also great. Yes, fantastic.
And so this is my last like for the episode. This is gonna break Justin. I know it is. Sonoika Green Martin delivered the most powerful emotional performance of her Star Trek career when Book died. When we know he died in that transport accident, Sonoika Green Martin gave us so much power that she was ready to lose. If she had broke down and lost it, I wouldn't have said anything. The crew would have understood. The president would have understood. But she saw Book die and gave us the greatest emotional performance of her career in the show. She gave us grief, pain, tragedy, sadness, all in 30 seconds, pulled herself together and said, we have to finish this mission. She is convinced Book is dead. And she goes back to the captain's chair. And I was like, I sat here, I was like, dude, if she had cried, I would have been there with her. I was teary-eyed. Book died. I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, granted, I wanted it. Yes, shoot me. But Book needed to die. Yeah. But that scene hit so hard. And I'm like, Sonoika Green Martin girl, you holy shit, you did amazing.
Very
A
He is a
couple things
very
that
because in his universe, it's actually Sonequa Martin Green, not Green
okay,
Martin.
my bad.
That's all
um,
right.
so a couple dislikes, not book is one of my dislikes. He came back and his punishment is light but not light. Like he of course was on a ship. His freedom is gone. So and the fact that he has to help refugees is kind of like a DWI person who has to go and talk to the victims. So it's like, okay, you're going to pay the price, but at the same time, it would have worked better if he died. It really would have. Star Trek is Discovery has had an issue with not killing a main cast member or somebody close to the crew. Aside from Giorgio, it's like, and we got Giorgio back, so it's like her death didn't last that long. Um, Tarka, we had a chance for a great Trek villain, and just stop trying to redeem him. He is a jackass. We don't like him. They tried redeeming him one more time, it didn't work. Um, and the book fake out. Another gripe I have was Reno. Not that Reno's bad, was so underused. She transports over, and that's it. Where'd she go? Give us Reno. We got the voiceover. Like, yeah, I'm way ahead of you. I'm making the cocktails, and that's it. It's like, come on, you give us Reno,
Well,
who gave us a speech that you're not going to get Oros back. Reno said, "I would see my wife, but that's not my wife." She is acknowledging the loss. So Reno did amazing there. And my last one that I loved was this episode. Before I move on, this is my last one. Tarina and Saru is going to be my new favorite. Hugh and Paul is my favorite Star Trek couple right now. I'm sorry, but Tarina and Saru is going to overtake them in my favoritism because when she says, "You may call me Tarina," I was like, done. That's it. They're a couple. That's it. He hands her the orca at the episode, and I'm like, there we go. We have Star Trek's new favorite couple is going to be Tarina and Saru. So I'm looking forward to that. Overall, as a show, because I know Justin's going to ask later on, I'll give my review now. This season, I will give an 8 out of 10 for Disco. The finale, I will give a 7 out of 10. This is my favorite season of Disco. It is their best season. It is my favorite season thus far, and I'm excited for season 5.
yep.
So that's where I'm leaning on that one.
Oh,
Okay, so
yeah.
you gave the finale 1 point less than the whole season. So explain that to me.
Because of the way Book and Tarka played out, if they had kept the emotional punch that Book died, it would have. We got Burnham without Book. Burnham thought Book was dead, and we got Burnham at her finest, fighting the pain that she just lost the love of her life, and realizing she has to save the trillions of lives. Like the president was right there, like ready to catch her. She broke down, and Burnham stood strong. We get Book back, and after that great, amazing scene with the Tennessee talking to them, we're like, "We're sorry, we'll fix it." And then Book comes back, it's like, "Oh, we intercepted Book's transporter signal. Okay, why didn't you intercept Reno's? They both were transported at peculiar times." But again, it's the way they handled Book and Tarka at the end. Other than that, the episode was really good. Vance and Tilly again is my redeeming quality of them getting drunk together. But overall, I give the season a higher score than the finale.
Okay.
Well, yeah, this season was pretty good overall. I think this episode was fantastic. They had a few slow episodes, as me and Carlos like to call them fillers. But I think once we binge watch the whole thing all together, that usually everything kind of meshes together a little bit better. Which I will do that at some point. But yeah, I did also have a problem with the book cop out, as I like to call it. I was like, okay, so you're gonna kill him just to bring him back in, like, oh, all is fine. Okay, yeah, I thought his punishment was a bit light. I was like, well, okay, you helped steal a super weapon and almost cause a war of intergalactic race, and yeah, you get a slap on the wrist and get to go help the refugees, the people that were displaced because of your actions. Good job.
What
uh,
I'm curious, like, what do you think is a better punishment? I mean, why
well,
not
like,
have him do
Okay,
something? He's deprived of his freedom. He's doing something productive, constructive. Um, like anything else that you do to him would just be purely
Okay.
punitive to make you feel better rather than actually
Yeah.
helping the galaxy.
Carlos is asking a legitimate question. I've seen this question before. Tom Paris did more time for less. Tom Paris was in a penal colony, tracked working in a labor camp, basically.
And all he did was chauffeur the Maquis.
Right.
1,000 years earlier, number one. Number two, didn't lose his entire planet and family. And, there's a very different set of motivations. Tom Paris went to join the Maquis because Tom Paris was an asshole.
Yeah.
Book went off and did what he did because he was in total and utter grief over the death of his entire race and planet, and saw a way to prevent it from happening to anybody else. Not comparable at all.
Okay, fair point. But let's see. I loved what they did with the Tennessee at the end. That was really fucking cool, especially with Book, melding, mind linking with them or whatever it is.
His empathic ability coming.
Empathic abilities, yeah. That was really cool. How that all tie together. And then, something you didn't mention, I'm surprised it was who the Federation president was.
You mean the Earth president?
President of Earth.
Yes. Earth president. Stacey Abrams.
Yep.
Politician. Yep. Apparently,
I thought it was a master stroke. Good for them.
Yeah. Well, apparently they heard she was a big fan of the
there
show.
There you go again, using that phrasing, Carlos.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's Carlos. He's got to use the stroke wherever he gets it because they hang low. So that's just the way it goes.
Stacey Abrams is a well-known Star Trek fan, well-known, and in fact, she is very specifically a Catherine Janeway fan. She loves Janeway.
That's actually one of the downs that I'd give this episode.
Was really Abrams?
Yeah, because I didn't know who the hell this person was.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't matter, does it? If you don't.
Yeah, it does, because it felt like so awkward that there was like, I mean, it was even more important than like the shit that just went down is the Earth president coming aboard the thing to talk about rejoining, the Federation. It's like, they literally just saved the universe. This seems really awkward. And it seems like whoever this Earth president person is, like the person who's being the actor, not the character, but the actor, it seems like this shot is placing like a huge amount of importance on someone I don't even know.
Well, I kind of see what you're saying, except that given the fact that this was Earth rejoining the Federation, I think that kind of explains that. It's a big deal. Michael Burnham's from Earth. Most of the Discovery crew is from Earth. It bookends that scene from last season where they went to Earth only to discover that it had become this, sort of paranoid
isolationist.
Yeah.
And so it's a big deal that this happened.
I appreciated Abrams' cameo. The backlash. I use that word very loosely, but when I saw the backlash to it, I was laughing so hard. I was like, "What? You're mad because they actually gave her power?" Like, I saw her walk out when Jason said it in the chat. I was like, "Oh, a cameo." When they opened the door, I'm like, "Oh my!" I said, "Stacey fucking Abrams." I'm like, "Wow, okay." And it's funny. She has no acting credit, but she acted very well because she had to just play a politician, and she nailed it. That's all she had to do.
So, did you guys hear the story of how that cameo came to be?
Apparently the writers and the producers knew that she was a fan of the show. They reached out to her people, and she responded with a unanimous yes. Well, that's what they said already.
That's what eventually happened, but the actual first contact, if you will, was because she is a friend of Wilson Cruz, who plays Culber, and he's the one who suggested it to. He raised it with her, then suggested it to producers and writers. Then they reached out to her, and they agreed, and she said yes, and then she came aboard. But it's actually Wilson Cruz that we have to thank for this.
Oh, good on him.
I always feel I was like it was a bit opportunistic, but I laughed. I
That's the whole
enjoyed
point
it.
of cameos. They're supposed to be
Okay,
opportunistic.
not that opportunistic.
I don't know. I think that's exactly what cameos are for.
Yep.
Exactly that.
But
My esteemed colleague Jody Wheeler posted on Facebook today something I thought was really hilarious about the backlash, because of course one of the people leading the way in the backlash was none other than our favorite Doomcock.
Oh no!
And Jody basically posted. He said, "Look, the person who's leading the way in denouncing this is a dude who remains anonymous and
hides behind a mask,
wears a mask, and literally presents himself as like a evil scientist in his laboratory. It's like we're supposed to take this dude seriously."
Yeah.
So you be you, Doomcock.
That thing is, people do. I mean, that's the bad thing. They take these people at heart. I'm just like, why?
So why are you listening to and following an obvious villain?
Exactly. You can be listening to and following Super Geeks.
The guy is Dollar Store Dr. Eggman.
3D, I am Doomcock.
Oh my.
Keep an eye out for Ross. Ross is online, so we'll see if he comes in the chat.
You're killing me, Ross. You're killing me.
He read our message on Facebook, so we'll see if he pops on.
Okay, well, we'll see.
But I again, it was fine. The cameo was a non-issue for me.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed the episode overall. I give it a 9 out of 10, and overall season, I'll do about the same, even with the filler. Because I like I said, it usually gets better whenever you watch the whole thing all the way through, and you don't have to wait a week between each episodes. So I mean, that's the way these are.
This will be the first season I would actually go back and rewatch willingly. Like I enjoyed the season that much, I will go back and just rewatch it because I liked it.
Yeah, but. Let's see here. So, Carlos, your turn.
Well, I'll just start out by saying that this was quite possibly the most Star Trek finale in Discovery's 4 seasons.
Star Trek-y episode and Discovery period.
Yeah, I mean, it was a true Star Trek finale. Like it wrapped up all of the plot threads from the season. It did it in a way that emphasized optimism, but still had danger. It was well paced. Every character had an arc that went through. Like there was just little things that were fantastic. Let's see, Tony Armstrong. Does anyone know who owns that fancy VR? Well, it is owned by technically it would be CBS, which is
Paramount now.
No, Paramount is CBS is its own division in.
Oh, I thought they merged together.
No, they're merged, but they're still separate. I mean, they're under the same company umbrella, but they're still very separate. And
Viacom is the parent company. They're still separate entities.
Yes.
Oh,
and you know that because if you look at the opening credits, it always says a CBS Studios production.
Oh, here's Ross.
To this very day.
And better late than never. Wow. Looking just a little bit of Shaggy is Ross. The eyebrows are moved.
You're like an entire. You look like
what is that noise?
Like a Muppet.
well, I mean,
and by Muppet, I mean to say Ewok. You look like
Ross.
Even worse,
was
Carlos. God damn.
Is it?
Well, Ross was.
You look fantastic, and the eyebrows of Doom are still there, and you're rocking it. You're rocking the.
So
eyebrows.
The sound that you're hearing seems to be either the 3D printer or Ross's washer.
That is the 3D printer.
There you go.
Ooh.
See.
Well, there you go. Well, we're talking Discovery, so you came just in time, Ross.
Good. And I apologize for being late. The wife and I were in need. We're desperate need for
a little bit of blue oyster. Yes, we understand.
She's
Ross,
been
but that was-
working a lot, and my own work schedule has not left a lot of
she's a working
time
girl, eh?
for one-on-one time. So make that of what you will if you wished it to be dirty or not. We just finished
Ooh.
watching Captain Marvel.
Watching.
So basically, you Netflix and chilled.
Yep.
Disney
Disney
Plus
Plus
and
chill.
Plus
Double
and
Plus?
none.
I don't know that one.
Disney
didn't have a
Plus
third.
and both of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Disney Plus and Double Hunt.
Son, you're on
Disney
a
Plus
roll
and
tonight.
Double Hunt. No, Disney Plus.
All right,
Disney
enough
Plus
about
and Double
me
Hump.
and interpersonal relationships. Where are you guys at with Discovery?
We're at
we
Okay,
are-
so
I
I was finishing my review of the season finale, and so basically, the point I was getting to was that there are a lot of really nice little character moments throughout the entire episode. One of the ones I really liked actually was the point where they had to send the shuttle to basically on a suicide mission, and it looked like the person who was going to go was
Detmer.
Detmer, and she was ready. Like that scene where she was like, she stands up to say, "Yes, Captain, it's going to be me," was fantastic. And even though Ndoye was the one who ended up going, for Ndoye, it was great. It was good redemption for her, given the fact that she kind of helped cause the problem to begin with.
She should have died too.
Well, no, I don't think she should have died. I think what needed to happen happened. She did it for, again, what she thought were the right reasons and understandable reasons, even though it was the wrong action to take. She accepted her punishment. She accepted the punishment she believed was yet to come. But when the time came to step up and do what needed to be done and be willing to sacrifice her life, to me, that is virtually the same thing as dying, if you will, in terms of retribution. So I thought it was great. I'm glad she survived.
Yeah.
She continues to be one of my favorite. She continues to be one of my favorite characters in this new century that Discovery is in, and I hope we continue to see her in the future. So I love those little moments that we saw throughout as well. And I will conclude with my ratings for the finale and season. And I would give, and you guys know I do this very rarely, but I actually would give this finale a 10 out of 10. I thought when I said it was the most finale of Discovery's 4 seasons, I meant it. I think they pulled it off. I think they did everything right in this finale. However, for the season, I think it took them a fucking long time to get there. They're getting a 7 out of 10 for the goddamn season.
Yes.
Still good, still above average, but good lord, they wasted some episodes. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Interlude.
Hey, he didn't use the F word, so I'm not going to say anything. Justin, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Well, there's kids watching, so no.
Even with the book Fake Out Death and
I didn't mind that. In fact,
we all figured Book was going to die eventually.
Well, the minute I saw him go, the thing I said to myself was his beam out has been intercepted. It totally looked like that to me, so I was not surprised. And consequently, Sonequa Martin Green's performance did not hit me as strongly as it did you, Greg. But I still think it was a great. A great performance. And in fact, Greg, you're going to laugh because I actually heard your little voice inside my ear saying, "She's crying again, God damn it!" And yet you turn out to like it. So I think.
So we have determined, Ross, that this week. We have determined.
Ross didn't hear my take on Captain Burnham. I was gonna because what Carlos was saying. So real quick, Ross, I gave Captain Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green, the best performance of her Star Trek career when Book died. She gave us every emotion, and I accepted that. If she had broke down crying, I'm there with you, girl. I was in tears when Book. I expected it, but damn. But I told the guys, I'm like, Burnham, hands down, Martin Green delivered the best performance in that 30 seconds of her Star Trek career, going from grief, pain, tragedy to I have to save everybody else. Womaned up and did her job. I'm like, damn.
Yep. Yep, I gotta agree. That was one of her best performance out of all. Let's see here. Do we want to go Sun and then Ross? Since Ross is our latecomer, Sun. If you want to go next.
Ross has 3 episodes to catch up on, so let him go first.
Okay.
Oh, so much to say. So much to say. So I'll try and be as brief as possible. First off, glad to be back. It's been way too damn long. My
Yes, it
computer's
has.
fixed. So I'm good again.
Mm.
3 episodes. What a journey, and what a quintessentially Star Trek journey. I'm in disbelief at how well it's all been done. Even one of the most cynical but poignant critics of Discovery, Lore Reloaded, said that this finale is the best episode of Star Trek. So that says
I saw on Twitter,
Discovery.
he said Star Trek is back. That's what he said on Twitter.
And we got to see so much of what is usually kind of speed run, so to speak, in Star Trek. The communication gap, the everything that goes into finding out about who you're contacting beyond just culture, language. How do you communicate with someone you've never met, with a species who is so incredibly different than anything that's come before? This isn't a human being with prosthetics grafted onto their forehead to make them look morphologically different. This
Ow.
is well, that's what Star Trek's done up to this point.
No, they're the Leviathans from Mass Effect. See,
This is a species that evolved inside a fucking gas giant. We've never seen that before. I can't think of anything like that in science fiction to date that I've seen, at least. I could be wrong.
Lost in Space.
Okay, maybe probably Lost in Space probably did it, but still,
Right. Come on.
the fact that we got to see this, and the journey, the struggle, and the stress of trying to figure out how to communicate understanding accurately in a incredibly short period of time, with the threat of annihilation, billions of deaths if they don't figure it out. And the entire
Trillions,
journey
dude.
that got us to this point has been the height of Star Trek drama. And it's been such an incredible ride. I have loved it. Oh.
So tell us what you really think.
Fuck Ruan Tarka. Fuck everything about him. I'm glad he and Book had a moment of understanding at the end, but even his reasons are not sympathetic. They tried to make him sympathetic. I understand why he did what he did, but it's still reprehensible, morally gross, or it's still gross and morally bankrupt. But yeah, just screw him. And I'm not going to say that I hope he died in an explosion, but still, everything about the guy is just blah.
I'm curious what you all think about the attempt by the writers in this season to redeem him, to portray him as sympathetically.
I don't think it was a redemption. It wasn't a redemption. It was an effort to make the viewer understand Tarko's mindset and his reason.
Yeah.
That is one of the themes that has been very, very prevalent in this series, is understanding the opposing side. Making sure that you see the reasons why they do something, and the why of what they did matters in the end when they are judged. And that was brought to full circle with Book. He broke a lot of laws, and by all rights, he should be given the worst sentence for breaking the laws that he did and giving Tarka the opportunity to cause incalculable harm. But his reasons were put into account, and he was given, at least I think, an appropriate penance. One that it isn't just him rotting in a cell for the rest of his life, but actually contributing to the wider galaxy. There was just so many
Where
great
did
things in
Carlos
this season.
go?
I think we
Carlos
lost him
dropped off
briefly.
the map.
So he said, "Oh no, Ross," and it didn't realize it was his end that froze.
Like Carlos was saying, we got a lot of great character moments from just about everybody. We lost Tilly for a little bit, but holy fucking hell did she come back with a vengeance in the finale. She was
It's almost like
soft-spoken.
she had purpose or something.
Yeah, she was soft-spoken and calm, but the confidence that she radiated, it's the end point of the arc that she's been on since season 1, from that awkward and unsure of herself cadet to a self-assured and resolute lieutenant.
Did you
who is-
notice something, Ross? Did you notice something?
What did I notice?
The way she spoke. Not you said, the way she spoke, she was very soft and she was very confident, and yeah, she was very motherly, wasn't she?
Yes, I would say that, yes.
And considering the actress has been recently pregnant and has a kid now, yeah, that kind of shows through, doesn't it?
And I gotta say, the scene with her and the Admiral on Starfleet.
Yes.
And okay, hold on, rewind. Starfleet headquarters warping
to Earth.
Starfleet headquarters warped into a crisis to serve as a lifeboat. Holy fucking shit! I didn't even recognize it at first.
They're not based. They're not star-based, stationary star-based
Yeah, that
anymore.
that entire scene just kind of suddenly sucked me out of the episode because I'm like, what the hell is this? Is this the Orion's thing? And it's like, then it stands up and it's like, oh, it's Starfleet headquarters.
Riding to the rescue like the cavalry. Once I realized what it was, my jaw hit the floor, and I got a few weird looks from a couple other guys in the lunchroom. That's why I'm so shaggy. I'm adapting to the construction worker lifestyle now, I guess.
Uh-oh.
Oh no! Now you're gonna have butt cracks galore and wear splendors.
Well, no, he's going to be a part of the 12-year all-male calendar, for construction workers.
I got the dad bod.
I clearly missed out on an important topic.
I was just gushing about Starfleet headquarters riding to the rescue of United Earth.
Ah, yes. I loved how it disassembles.
They are really going all in with the
programmable matter,
worldliness of future technology, because something like that would not have been done in TOS or TNG.
Yeah, not with those stations.
Setting it a few more 1,000 years into the future just lets them go completely crazy. They are embracing Doug Drexler's shock the ape brain mentality with the design and capability of all of these ships.
I really hope that they continue this too.
Getting back to what started me on that tangent was the scene with Tilly and the Admiral just drinking and taking in their last moments as they've done everything they can. They're content with everything they've done. And they're at peace with the fact that they're going to die, knowing that they saved as many people as they could. And that was powerful. That was incredibly powerful.
And the fact that they got drunk together.
Well, they probably didn't get drunk, but they were drinking together.
They looked a little tipsy-rooney.
Oh, certainly. But
they were getting high off Tarkus stash. Of course, they were getting tipsy.
The depth. I think the gravity of the situation definitely kept them relatively sober, but still, just everything about this episode was so well done. The franticness and the desperation of the rescue, the incredibly frank and bleak outlook of just how many people they can save. Bring back
500,000
was great too.
Well, wasn't that Narskin that was saying, is that all we can do?
He was
Yep.
he wasn't Nausicaan, he was Tellarite.
Tellarite.
Yeah, he
That
was
was
a
a
Tellarite.
Tellarite? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. I thought that was
Yeah,
a
we've
full
seen him
Tellarite.
before in that Tilly Starfleet Cadet episode.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
probably one of the most
Did you notice the name of the ship that saved everybody on Titan?
the Mitchell.
The
The
Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Named for
Which is
Sir
a
Kenneth
reference, reference to the guy with ALS that always seems to be there, even though he's got ALS.
Well, I think he should just well, you know what? Even now, he should just be all the Klingon support cast.
And a mention of the USS Yelchin.
Yep.
Yes, the Yelchin.
One of the most incredible things of this episode, after Book came back, with some absolutely like you guys said with Sonequa Martin Green, her the depth of her performance, the range of her performance in this episode alone was incredible, and everything leading up to it. But when Book came back, and it wasn't her or the president, and by the way, Justin, Rillick was not Kaiwin 2.0.
No.
She did not end up with a professional wrestler type heel turn. She turned out to be just fine from beginning to end.
Hold on, Ralph. Hold on. Justin, you have to eat those words now.
So
Justin,
far,
you have to eat those words.
So far, they're still holding it.
No, you said.
Oh, come on, Justin.
You said for season 4 she'd be Kaiwin 2.0. Guess what? You have to eat those words now.
Again, I agree with Greg.
It was Book who gave the final emotional plea to not just
you all called it. You all
not
called
just
that.
end the DMA, but correct the damage and get them to stop using it entirely, which was incredibly powerful. And the fact that the 10C listened to that and were moved, the fact that Saru was able to convey his emotions
in math,
with math.
I would argue. Sorry, Ross. I would just argue. Saru was doing fine on his own. They didn't need Book to close the deal. They were closing the deal without Book.
Yes, but Book brought everything
Untrue.
full circle to the point that there was no threat. The DMA would no longer exist, and he changed the 10C. He convinced them that hiding inside their shields was no way to live, and that they are going to drop the shield and be vulnerable to the universe to see and feel more of it, to no longer be ruled by fear. That's incredible.
I agree with you. Even though when he started that speech, I felt like, oh, come on, Book. They figured everything out. Why are you like dipping your toe in and being all self-righteous when you're the one who caused this problem? And I think by the end of it, he convinced me, because everyone else, I mean, think about it. Everyone else, President Rillick, even Burnham, they were willing to take what the 10C had offered. And Book was like, oh, hell no, we ain't done talking yet. And, makes this plea. And I think he pulled it off.
Yep.
Another reason why I think his redemption was really important, and why this idea that somehow he should be punished more than he is doesn't hold water for me.
Yes, I know. I haven't reinstalled OBS yet.
And that's okay, Ross, because I don't think you need to be, forced to do squats or anything.
Somebody redeem my squat.
It is nice not to have to worry about redeems while I'm in the middle of my emotional geek ejaculation tonight.
Did not expect that.
Oh, that about sums up my thoughts on the episode. It was incredible. Definitely one of the strongest Star Trek season finales to this point. It's been wow. Definitely made up for what I met from the burns. Less than positive reception, I believe.
I personally gave this one their best season finale yet for all of Disco.
I gotta agree.
One of the best in
Better
Star
than-
Trek in general.
Yeah.
better than
I'm
I think it's better than turning out to be a screaming kid causing a galaxy-wide burn.
It was
Which is what Ross
emotional,
just-
Justin. It
which is
wasn't
what
just
also Ross said.
volume. It was context.
So Ross,
Cat is here.
Ross, give us your rating for this episode and the whole season. What would you give them? Uh-oh.
He's calculating.
I give
Calculate.
it one combat
Oh.
patrol out of one combat patrol.
I think the cat wants to join the show.
Dragon
Of
Warrior,
course
thank
they
you for
can.
the follow. Hope you're enjoying our podcast.
Thanks for the follow, but you're following the wrong Twitch channel.
Shut up, Justin.
So, Justin, what does George think about the season finale?
I love you, George. Did you really just tap my shoulder? Oh, you're
Telling you that
licking it
cat
now.
is the true star of this show.
Now he's licking my shoulder.
All right. Well, son, why don't you tell us what you thought?
So, I agree. This is another one of the most Star Trek episodes of Discovery, like, ever. But God, so much of this episode sucked me out of the episode.
Oh, here we go.
So here we go. I'm the contrarian, I guess, right?
Yes, you
Yeah,
are.
yeah. So, yeah, the Federation headquarters warping to Earth. That sucked me out because I'm like, what the hell is this? This is some classic looking, some update on a classic looking Orion ship. Where's it going? We were just with Burnham and all that stuff. What the hell is this? What is this ship? Oh, it's Federation headquarters.
It's a
Okay.
subplot. It's a subplot.
Like, it just comes so out of nowhere that it sucked me right out of the episode with questions.
It's the 32nd century.
yeah,
Like
okay,
a
but
century.
I don't expect the 30.
Century.
I don't expect the 32nd century to be more ADD than I am.
Oh, I fully expect it to be more ADD than I am.
I mean, good lord. There was a lot of telegraphing this episode. I guess it's
Foreshadowing.
a typical Star Trek trope.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole thing with we need to actually pilot a shuttle because we can't autopilot the shuttle. Everybody looks at Detmer. Nope. Let's go and get Ndoye to do it because Ndoye is the one who has to do it. Yeah, that wasn't telegraphed at all.
Yeah, it was
let's-
telegraphed the minute she said, that she was letting herself be confined to quarters. And
But she was willing to serve.
Yes, I'm
Boom,
I'm
right
willing
there.
to
It's
serve.
like-
I'm like, of course. Of course.
The moment Book disappears because they're trying to teleport him, it's like, oh, he's still alive. Obvious.
That's how I felt too.
God,
I
they're
felt
not going to just let him die now that he's saved Jet Reno.
The only way I would have bought it is if the teleport thing had been like what we saw in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, where we actually see them going.
I think that's the only time we've ever seen a death in a transporter.
That was one of the most gruesome scenes in any Star Trek, anytime, anywhere. And
Yeah,
it was, 40 years ago.
and it was
Next to,
terrifying.
conspiracy.
Well, it was next to that dude getting his head blown up.
Well,
by
no,
a laser
no.
from TNG.
Conspiracy
one.
was actually less horrifying
It was
because
less
there was a body to look at.
True.
You had to imagine how those people died once they
Ooh.
got them back on the transporter
Inside
platform
Out.
on Earth.
And
Yep.
the scream. The scream.
Yeah, the scream.
Yeah, the scream. Yeah,
The
and the best line ever over the intercom when the transporter operator says, "What we got back
didn't live long.
Fortunately.
Yeah.
Fortunately, yes. Thank you.
Fortunately.
The other weird thing to me that's like, wait a minute. Okay, so you've as a 10C, It just so happens that it's Book's transporter signal you've intercepted. Not Reno's, not
See that? You know, but
Ndoye's.
that makes total sense. Okay, first of all, Ndoye happened earlier on when it was still possible to transport.
Mm-hmm.
Reno's was facilitated by the fact that that Book gave her his badge with its transporter. Book had no transporter, so they were trying to pull him, which makes it fundamentally a different operation.
What they did with Book's transportation proves that the 10C had the ability to intercept transporters, period.
Yeah.
So anything coming from the ship that is about to destroy them, I would think you'd want to intercept, no matter who it is or when it is.
Well, they intercepted it
because it was
in
failing.
process.
Yeah.
In process, whereas because it was always a dicey proposition, they indicated that. But with Reno, that kind of transportation we know is almost instantaneous. With Book, it was not. They were trying to pull him off with less of a lock, basically without a lock.
And the source was kind of obliterated when it struck the shield.
But they've been able to do that in the past, though. You'd think they'd have a much better, you'd think
they're in a distorted area of space too. So
900 years in the future, they'd have much better transport technology.
Yes.
But no, like it's not even a matter of them having trouble locking on. It's not even that. It's the fact that the 10C literally have the power to stasis any teleportation. Period. And you have a ship that's throwing itself at your power source, which will kill you.
Yeah, but you're forgetting that this took time. They were able to stop it because it was taking time to transport. With Reno, it didn't. It was instantaneous because she had a transporter.
All right, we're getting hung up on nitpicky stuff. So continue, son.
So, okay, the other thing is, you just made this big old huge speech about how transporting from the shuttle, because you're so close to the power source, will be difficult, and Ndoye makes it. I agree with Greg. Ndoye should have died.
I kind of think I was like,
it's like the moment that happened, the moment that explosion happened, and not a second goes by, and they go, "We've got Ndoye." I was like, "No, screw that." I get it. You have your instantaneous transport, but you just said it was difficult to do that, and then they wait until they're doing it with Book.
I agree with you that was awkward, but I don't think the end result was something I had a problem with.
So moving on from that, I agree. The ability of the headquarters to lifeboat its individual decks is kind of awesome.
About time.
I have a major question. Where the hell was D'Angelo? It's a giant floating fucking park of a spaceship. Where the hell was it?
Wait, was the what?
The Angelo.
Rainforest.
The Angelo is that giant rainforest ship in Starfleet.
Right. I forgot.
Where the hell was this ship?
Navarre?
Maybe.
Nope.
Yeah, could have been Navarre.
Like, you could have at least said the Angelo was at Navarre. There was no mention of it at all.
Why is it a big deal? They didn't mention many ships that we know.
They didn't mention
Voyager in the evacuation novel either.
Yeah.
I think we saw it, though.
Yeah, we saw it at the end.
Yeah, we saw it. They mentioned very few of the ships that we've seen.
Aside from the names, like the Nog and the Yelchin and the Mitchell, right? Because they're obvious homages, I think is the term properly.
Yep.
But like, you literally have this giant fucking ship that is a park for all intents and purposes. That's a giant lifeboat. No mention of it whatsoever.
I don't know. I mean, all of them were lifeboats, so I'm not sure why that one stands out.
There could be any number of reasons why.
Who knows? I mean, it's not like Federation headquarters can individually launch its own decks at warp.
Ooh.
You know, it's not like you can have an entire rainforest traveling at warp or anything.
Wasn't
alrighty.
it a seed vault? And I know it looked like a rainforest inside, but wasn't it a seed vault?
No,
ship?
that was the thing
No,
that was,
that was a different ship.
No,
completely different ship.
We're talking about the big ring thing that was nothing but force that we saw a little bit like in the first couple of episodes of this season.
It's a giant croquette donut thing.
Oh, last season. I meant, sorry. And this,
But yeah, no, that was the one thing that stood out to me. It's like, you have this ship that is perfectly placed to be like the ship that you shove everybody onto because it is basically a giant park. Okay. Whatever. So we agreed last week, and it kind of happened, but not as much as we thought it was going to happen, Carlos. So Navarre and Earth and Titan take a whole bunch of damage. Well, Titan takes the most damage, apparently. Right. But they take damage, obviously. We also agreed last week that it would be Book that communicates with the 10C. We agreed that it would be this whole telepathic thing, and it turns out that the Vulcan president is the one that does that.
Yeah, that was an interesting, but I like that we were on the right track in terms of the type of outreach. We just didn't think about the Vulcan being the one doing it instead of
Tarina.
Book.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, cool. Nosebleed, nice.
Oh yeah, with the green blood, that was nice. Agreed.
It's like super overwhelmed by. I mean, I'll be kind of honest. The way she explained it, it was like mind melding with the Borg or something. She's just overwhelming information constantly.
The first words out of Rillick's mouth were like the Borg.
Yeah, that was the first Borg reference in Discovery.
Yep. Second.
When was the first one?
Vance referred to them earlier in the season
as a species capable of creating the DMA.
Yeah.
Oh yes, you're right.
So that was interesting. God, why? Look, you said last week, Carlos, that this season was all about connecting.
Mm-hmm.
I partly agree with you, but I also partly disagree with you. It seems like this episode seems more to me like connecting after dealing with loss. Well, the loss has to happen first before the reaching out, the connecting.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
Well,
I mean, because the idea was having loss in common, like that whole conversation that like Burnham has with the 10C, where she talks about her one and the loss that they felt, and I mean, loss was what enabled them to connect. So, which is what you're saying. I mean, so in my mind, I don't see a disagreement there.
Well, what I'm getting at is that it's not just connecting. That loss is side by side with it. It is loss then connection, instead of just being about connection.
Well, I think that's still about connection.
Because this episode has this season has had several different kinds of loss.
And several different kinds of connection. I mean, I think that's the point.
And not just the connection. It's it's the journey of how that person deals with that loss before they get to connection.
Right. That's what makes it, I think, deeper and more textured. I'm totally agreeing with you. I'm totally agreeing with you, son.
Was it last season that we had the Detmer episode, or was it this season? I think it was last season.
Last season.
Yeah, last season.
You had Detmer being all kind of loopy in the head, but kind of coming
last season.
Right. She comes back into herself this season, and that is like one of the primary connections this season. You have this sense that Tilly has lost herself this season. So she goes off to join Starfleet Academy and teach at the academy. And then, at the end of this episode, during this episode, she comes back and she has reconnected with not only herself, she's made peace with the fact that she's going to die, period.
Mm-hmm.
You've had Book lose his entire planet and his family. Okay.
Episode 1.
And basically goes on a tear to stop the DMA to make sure this doesn't happen again. Tarka's loss is a lot further back, and he's basically not drinking to forget. He's drinking to stay angry. Because as he said, anger can be productive. And what has he been trying to do the whole time? Build a power source to get him to the other universe. And like that whole thing is just the Tarka thing. God, I'm sorry. I don't care what anyone says about anything else. They tried to redeem Tarka. It's not showing his side or anything. They tried to redeem Tarka.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
The fact of the matter is, at the end of all of his bullshit, him and Book have that moment. And that moment is, why wasn't he here to stop me? Which is like, dude, you had any number of times to think about what he would want. The fact that he wasn't here to stop you means you literally had this shit in your head while he was alive. Mm-hmm. And he stopped you.
Tarka, more than in addition to being brilliant, is also very selfish.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the reasons why he betrayed him, didn't he? Originally? I mean, in the flashback?
He was sent in there to find out what he was doing.
Right.
He was sent in to betray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
then fell in love.
Tarka's goal has always been self-interest above anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So like even then, it's like that's what I was talking about last week. I think it was that the way that they're trying to play this, they're trying to give Tarka the redemption that when it works, it stops. Like all of the crazy bullshit and self-interest and literally genociding people and all that stuff stops when he makes it to the other side. Mm-hmm. That's not a redemption.
Yeah, I don't think anyone agrees that he was redeemed.
Yeah.
I think my issue was that they were working really hard
to try to justify it.
To try to redeem him. And I just felt like I don't know that they had to work that hard.
Like Dr. Eggman is a more redeemable character in the new Sonic movies, and he's a literal asshole who's just caused like 50 different international incidents. He literally blew the head off the fucking Sphinx in Egypt.
Well, he's a cartoon villain.
So
yeah.
And Tarka, for a lot of the shit, was a cartoon villain. Like had no problems wanting to literally genocide the entirety of the 10C and maybe even the Discovery too. Twirly mustache. Yeah, Tarka has like the biggest problem I have with this season was I liked Tarka in the beginning, then I realized he was more than just an asshole. He was like an actual fucking bad guy. Okay? Stop trying to make him a good bad guy. He's not Deadpool.
As much as he might try.
Alrighty. Well, on that note, I think that should probably wrap up our Discovery review since everyone has had their say. We should move on to Picard.
Did we get a rating from Sun?
No, we need a
No,
rating
we have
from
not.
Sun.
Okay. What's the rating?
For the season, I actually give this season a 9. This season was really good.
Well, there goes that.
So I gave it the lowest score.
Well, for the season, I give this season a 9. Between the DMA and all of you've had, like, not only have we had the most Star Trek episodes of Discovery, we've had the most Star Trek season of Discovery. And just because of the threat of the DMA is on the edge of space, and we have a Kwat-Malat lady who's trying to save a completely asleep race. Pretty Star Trek there. You have Star Trek you have the Federation working against the clock to save an asteroid colony of people who have completely different laws with how they handle prisoners because the DMA is on its way. Pretty Star Trek, you know? Like, we have had the most Star Trek season of Discovery ever this season. And
the prisoner staying behind to die because he doesn't want to go anywhere else.
Well, because he admits to his own guilt,
right?
Not lie like the others wanted, and understood that he had to face some kind of justice, even if it was death. This has been the most amazingly Star Trek feeling season of Discovery. That said, this episode kind of gets a 7. It pulled me out so often.
There it is.
This is so funny. We basically agree, and yet our numbers are so different.
It comes
Ross,
down to
remind me again what your numbers were.
Me?
No, Ross.
Oh, Ross.
I'll rephrase it. 200 points.
Right. You gave
points.
You gave us a currency conversion I didn't understand.
If you were to supposed to be nebulous and incomprehensible, it was good. It was excellent. It was great.
And the season?
Equally great.
Okay.
It built off of everything that came before and exceeded expectations spectacularly.
Except for the filler episodes.
They were interludes, and they all built into the plot. They were not filler because they all added and contributed something. They weren't the beach episode of a high school anime, Justin.
Or the entirety of Enterprise.
Look. I don't know. Two episodes ago, there was a lot of fucking sand. So I'm just saying.
So you want to no high
or needless upskirt shots?
Well, they did get high.
No, but there was a lot of screaming and a lot of feeling good.
A lot of feeling.
They're high.
Anyway, did we lead with Discovery, or did I miss?
Well, we did. We did all
Discovery. We do have a piece of Star Trek news to sandwich in between Discovery and Picard. That was finding out that I hope it is. That was finding out that we have Captain Kirk in a Pike series.
We got Kirk. And
how much
a vampire?
So how much money exists in the George was right jar now?
I know.
Oh, God damn it, George! Still taking us to school all these years later.
Continues to fuck with us.
He's been fucking with us from beyond the grave for over a year now.
And even with the Obi-Wan series, he's going to continue to fuck with us. He fucked with us with Mando and Luke Skywalker. He fucked with us and Boba Fett. I mean, just... God damn it, George. No, not you, Cap.
I'm telling you all, George is George always saw what was coming. He was just off on his timing.
Well, like we figured Kirk would come into play sooner or later, but I had always thought maybe it would be at the end of the show's run where Pike's handing the ship off to Kirk, not this soon. And from the looks of it, he doesn't have the Enterprise badge on. For most of the stuff, they did the one promo with him in the Enterprise shirt, but I mean, they showed the actual badge, and I don't know.
Yeah, but they can do all sorts of things in post with a static image. I thought it looked heavily photoshopped, like they took a shot of Pike and imposed his face over it, and it had to have been just me, because as much as I shared the picture, no one seems to have caught up on it, or thought it was nearly as amusing as I did.
Well, see,
but the way he was sitting in the chair, the expression on his face, it looks exactly the same as the image of him as Stefan Salvatore in Vampire Diaries as Moody Stefan that everyone in the fandom likes to make fun of. My wife caught it immediately and she said, "Yeah, I'm not interested."
Let's see, a lot of people have been talking about how the image looks photoshopped, but thanks to like an actual leaker, we have footage of him in that uniform.
Yeah, wearing the different combat. I guess it's the one for the Farragut of this universe. Because
and that's what's weird, because that's contravening the whole issue of they're technically not com badges, folks.
Right.
They're patches.
Patches, yeah.
Has been the idea that each ship had its own badge was sort of decanonized for a long time, and we saw that through Discovery as well. Now this notion that that they do have their own.
I always thought that was stupid.
Yet another mistake.
Especially uniform rules change a lot in the real world. So it's understandable to assume that in a fictional setting, a fictional science fiction setting, that they could potentially change a lot as well.
Yeah, it's just they made a point of it in Discovery that
they didn't make a point.
Yeah, they did. That everyone has the same badge.
They showed the Discovery crew with the Delta, but it was never explicitly said, "Oh yeah, everybody's got this."
When
badge.
we saw the Enterprise, Delta. When we went to Starfleet headquarters, Delta. When we saw admirals, Delta. It was the same Delta.
Yes,
it's the Delta that we saw back in.
But it was a different looking Delta. It had the split.
But it was still basically the Delta.
But you also, the Section 31 Delta looked different.
But it was the same shape.
But it was the same shape. It wasn't.
If you look at it, that's not the case with the badge that Kirk is wearing in that image that Justin is.
Maybe it wasn't started until.
Guys, I have to give the point here to Ross simply because the early seasons of Discovery take place before any of this Strange New World stuff, and all of this Strange New World stuff takes place before TOS.
Well, I'm not talking
rule change.
I'm not talking about my complaint is not an in-universe complaint. It is an out-of-universe complaint in which the speculation by a lot of fans literally for decades that each ship had its own more specifically that the Enterprise's badge was just the Enterprise's badge. And they went, there are memos from Matt Jeffries saying, no, it's not, it's Starfleet's badge. And the fact that we saw different ones was essentially a mistake. And now they're sort of recreating what they acknowledged was a mistake.
It's not a mistake. It's just different rules for different times.
It was a production mistake. They admitted there are memos between Gene Roddenberry and Matt Jeffries calling it a mistake. It should not have happened.
Well, maybe this is a placeholder for something else, or maybe they're just trying to do it to make fans happy because.
Anyway, let's get to Picard.
Well,
yes, let's get to Picard.
Okay. Well, alrighty.
We'll start off in minutia here.
Yeah, we want to carry on to much of a rant. Well,
I have so much to say.
Yeah. You should go first, considering you have to catch up on 3 episodes.
3 episodes.
Go for it.
Star Trek Picard Season 2. Wow. Just the first episode alone, we got a few months later, we got people moving on. We got Rios and Rafi and kinda Picard back in Starfleet. We lost my second favorite Romulan.
Oh, Travis is going to rapture. I heard Travis.
No,
No,
this is
no.
episode 1, Justin.
He's
No,
talking
we're talking about episode.
Jabon.
Oh yeah, that's right. You covered that episode.
I haven't.
I still have issues with Jabon surviving season 1.
And then we got Laris making a move on Picard, which
Which felt
odd.
very awkward.
Yeah.
Which was odd. It was odd.
And then events. I like that Seven is back with the Rangers, and she's running La Serena. And she's merged all the holographic crewmen into one, and it's the Spanish-speaking one, the spicy one. I like that.
Yeah.
And the Stargazer looks incredible, and then we get the spiky Danger Vulva.
Yeah, Carlos doesn't like 4 nacelle starships.
I do not like more than 2 nacelles on a starship. There I
So
said.
how about less than 2 nacelles?
I don't like one. I don't like 1 nacelle ships either. They don't make sense.
He doesn't like them hanging low.
That Borg Queen was something else entirely. Something just amorphous and
A bit
almost
awesome.
completely mechanical. It was very, very different from anything we've seen before, and most notably, especially in light of this week's episode, she said Picard, not Locutus.
Right.
That's
I
why
think the irony in the appearance of that Borg Queen was that even though she looked less human, she behaved more human. Whereas
she behaved very, very differently than any other queen.
Karate.
Oh, that's your theory, Justin?
I think the one that we've seen on the Stargazer.
He's not the only one.
I think the one that we see on the Stargazer is Agnes. I really do.
See the episode, and then of course at the end with Q. It's so good to see Q back to Q's things, seeming a little off, but we'll find out what that's about. The "Let's catch up" line was great, and it was a great return of the crew. Everyone serendipitously coming back together for a key moment. I'm sad that Soji isn't joining them on this escapade, but oh well. Yet.
Soji is in this season.
This
She
first
just may
episode
not
of the
be-
season.
No, she's coming later.
Yeah.
We haven't seen her at all. We didn't see her at
We
all in
haven't
the
seen
second
her.
episode. But getting
Or
to
the-
the second
or the third.
episode, the Stargazer's destroyed and everybody wakes up in the mirror universe. Kinda.
Not a mirror universe.
No, it is not.
Alternate
It is
timeline.
the Confederation of
Evil
Earth.
timeline.
Very, very nicely dystopian, and a nice reimagination of what the mirror universe could be.
A
The-
more realistic
It's
reimagination.
actually, I'll be completely honest. This is literally where I go. The mirror universe is just an alternate timeline, and it always has been. Why is it a universe?
Oh, see, I think they dealt with that back in Enterprise because there was no point of divergence. One of the things they established in Enterprise's
There-
mirror universe was that,
There was a
It-
point of divergence. There was a clear point of divergence in
well, if
Enterprise.
there was, it was way, way, way long ago.
Yes, Tony, androids can certainly rock cleavage.
Like the first major point of divergence in the Enterprise timeline for the mirror universe is the fact that like the dude is somewhat willing to entertain the Vulcans, but when he can't like do the hand thing when they land, he literally just pulls out a shotgun and kills them, and they take the ship.
Right, but if you look at the credits for those episodes, they show a mirror universe, an evil version stretching way, way back in time.
No,
Going
they
back
no,
to
they
the
don't. They
Confederation.
Yeah,
just
they do.
they
do.
just- it just-
All of the scenes in the opening credits show like evil versions of the past, going back centuries.
No, what they show is our actual history just evil. Like,
Exactly. That's my
Up to
point.
the
They
point
sh-
of the moon
no,
landing,
no,
except they were flying the Terran flag. But getting back to the Confederation, it's interesting to see a quote unquote evil organization in Star Trek that isn't overtly an empire, that has the facade of a democratic organization, as far as we know. And the differences that we see are all pretty striking. The Room of Skulls, Picard's study that still feels like Picard's study, but is filled with weapons and
Skull to
trophies of all
Koch.
kinds,
Skull to
including
Koch.
the sword of Kalis and many others.
Skull to Koch.
Dave Bliss, the production designer, he has included a whole bunch of other fun little Easter eggs, like the Lightspeed Club, what the ceremony that you have the first time you go to warp. Is it based on the of the Mach 1 club for fighter pilots that break the sound barrier? Or
Doesn't the Navy also have something about the first time you cross
I was
the
about to
equator?
say the shellback ceremony for when you cross the equator.
Yeah.
Golden shellback if you cross the equator and the international date line, which I've done. But seeing this dark world was interesting, and the variations of everybody. Seven's awakening to it, I think, was the most interesting, because she has an entire routine for ensuring that she is real. Like a computer subroutine that she's committed to memory, even though her physical body is now completely devoid of all Borg cybernetic implants. The subconscious analytical side of things is still there, which is pretty cool. And holy shit, did she act in that episode, especially when we meet the Queen. That going from that air of confidence that she's projecting to make her seem presidential, to backing away in terror when she sees the Queen, and then when she sees that it's vulnerable, when she walks toward it again with authority. Her range in that episode was incredible, and it carries over in episode 3.
It actually kind of that scene reminds me of Christopher Eccleston's scene with the Dalek.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
Absolutely.
and yeah.
Which one from the first time that we saw him in the
yeah,
movie,
when Eccleston first appears, and
Mhm.
they have that Dalek in, and it's
Oh, yeah.
broken, and he doesn't know that it's broken yet, and he like lurches back in terror because it's a Dalek. He literally just got through fighting an entire war with these things.
He's hysterical in that scene. Seven, on the other hand, is barely restraining her absolute terror at seeing the Queen. And I've got to say, one thing that they are really doing something very interesting with this episode and the season. We've seen drones separated from the collective. They either find their own way, or they slowly come into their own as a new individual. Like with Hugh, he becomes someone else. With other XBs, they slowly find their way back into their old personas. Seven had to learn to be a completely new person. But now we're seeing a Queen with no collective. And that's interesting.
Did you see who directed this episode?
Yes.
Leah Thompson. Marty's
As in-
mom from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
This is going to be really interesting to see, is how a Borg Queen, who is supposed to be the focal point for the entire collective, deals without a collective. She's still Borg, but she might as well just be a drone. And
As
that
she put it, let's start with legs.
That lack of greater awareness affects her the most when we see her at first, when she's just completely absent of a hive to be the center of. When she's the center of herself, it drives her insane, until she gets a single inkling of power. When she looks at Girardi, she goes from erratic and unfocused to, but you. She senses prey. She senses someone who might be seduced by the collective, the idea of belonging to something, and sinks in on it. And then it's back to erratic again. And oh my God, in the third episode, does she deliver again?
Mhm.
Oh, I'll just skip the rest
The
because compared to
music.
what happens in 3, it's unimportant. Oh, 3, episode 3, Assimilation. We get our first slingshot since the voyage home, and it's done very well.
I thought it was great that they, like, in some ways preserved some of the voyage home approaches to how they did it.
Just without
and
the
put-
psychedelic mushroom scenes.
yeah, exactly.
They also made
Well-
it look a lot more dangerous too, because
Yeah.
it looked like we were a lot closer to the sun this time.
Yeah, like you actually see her defend them from a solar flare. Like
Yeah.
they go through a solar flare.
And I don't know why it didn't click with me before when because I was, 8 years old when I was watching it the first times, but they're traveling at warp around a star at in close up to it. They're revolving around a star.
Yeah, this is immensely
thousands of
dangerous.
times a
Yeah.
second.
Yeah, no, this is immensely dangerous. There's a reason why they have to like impulse out of a system before they go to warp at most point.
Mhm.
For most instances, does anybody remember like the whole entire incident from like the motion picture?
Well, when in the voyage home, we see the bird of prey accelerate toward the star and then just jump out the other side. This time, they're jumping from Earth into the star and then
Basically, Supermaning their way into the past.
yeah, creating a temporal fissure. They arrive. They got to get the Borg Queen back up. Oh man, there's so many great.
Will they catch any temporal whales?
Everyone getting to the planet, experiencing culture shock, Rios getting arrested, all of that is secondary to the scene with Girardi and Picard trying to reactivate the Queen. Oh my God, is Alison Pill great?
Yeah, Alison Pill
She's
is
really-
a phenomenal actress.
Her
and
performance in this, where she is deadpan for a moment, and then she's operating entirely on emotion. Her body is limp. She's got no motor control, but her expression, her voice, that she's just laying into Picard, dagger after dagger after dagger, and then sadness. Maybe I should just give up and give in. It'd be easier that way. The pain would be gone.
Very much Inside Out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Inside turned inside out.
We actually so there's another point. We got the most important piece of information we should have always expected, but we really never had said to us in the entirety of the Borg. You're assimilated through euphoria.
Yeah. That's how they keep you under. They keep you content. That's why it's very hard to break out.
that was a nice bit.
Star Trek First Contact assimilation would have you think different.
First Contact was a guerrilla war. That was them brute forcing their way through the ship to accomplish their goals as quickly as possible.
And also to assimilate people as quickly as possible.
Exactly.
No, there's no time to inject euphoria.
They were butchering people.
Because if you remember, like all of the other times that we've seen a whole bunch of assimilation, it tends to look like a process that takes an hour or two to do.
Mm-hmm.
What was happening on First Contact was taking minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, of course,
and then she came out of it, and it's not often that you see someone really get a good one in on the Borg Queen. Janeway did it a few times with a lot of help, but Girardi, holy shit. Holy shit.
She knows what she was doing. And in fact, I love the line that the Queen had when she said, "You've done something far more dangerous.
You've impressed
me."
That was a great line.
I mean, she was already interested in Girardi because of her vulnerability, but now she knows her capability.
Mm-hmm.
I am so excited to see what they do with this Queen. what I can't wait to see what a queen does absent of a collective. Here she was thinking she had all the power, all the answers, and she was ready to bargain and haggle everything she wanted from Locutus, and then it was all taken away. And we saw the vulnerability again. A queen without a hive is just another drone that talks.
And now we know where the Watcher is. So, who is the Watcher?
Damn.
Glossy eyes and long
Oh,
hair.
shit.
Guinan.
All right, I'm gonna shut up for a while and have a cigarette maybe.
You don't smoke.
Was it good for you?
It's good for me.
So lead candidates for Watcher.
Thought we
Guinan and possibly Wesley would be my top two, or the actual Watcher.
There was a preview for the next episode that showed someone walking behind Picard with long, greasy hair and whited out eyes.
I mentioned this last week that there seems to if they aren't the Watcher seems to have these alien-like bodyguards or something.
Yeah, makes no sense that far back in time, but hey, why not?
Well, then again, actually, they could be human. It would make perfect sense to have a Watcher whose bodyguards are blind. That kind of irony is a Trek thing.
Sure.
Like the negotiator with a psychic choir.
Yep.
Oh,
The telepathic choir, yeah.
Did you guys catch the past tense reference?
Refresh my memory.
The identification card that they asked Rios for.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And another Easter egg before I actually do shut up. The deli that Rios face planted in front of, the Tipton brothers. That is a reference to Mike and Scott Tipton, I believe the names, or two writers for IDW Comics who have penned some of the greatest Star Trek comic books in recent memory, including Assimilation 2, the crossover with Doctor Who.
Oh, I love that one.
And all the mirror stuff.
Ooh, I love those two.
They're not involved with these, but the fact that they made a nod to them in this episode is pretty awesome. All right,
Cool.
Actually shutting up now. Who's next?
Okay, so I'm looking at the footage from the preview for next episode. So the guy with the white eyes. So he doesn't look. Oh, wait a second. There's also this woman.
Yeah, no, there's a few blind people like that, and they're either escorting Picard somewhere or something, and it makes me wonder if that's not the Watcher themselves, they're like the bodyguards of the Watcher.
Well, I heard an interesting. Okay, so we know that there are certain people we're going to see in the past. We know we're going to see. We're going to see one of the Sungs. We know we're going to see someone who looks like Soji.
Mm-hmm.
We know it's quite likely we'll see Guinan, maybe. She's there, or likely to be there. So I heard an interesting theory from someone. I don't think they're going to go there, but it's an interesting theory. Ready?
Okay.
Gary 7.
Ooh.
I mean, that's Ross's entire theory about what's his face, glasses guy from Discovery, and he's Gary 7.
That would fit.
If he is, there you go.
I mean, we had the Picard
that would explain
the
the fucking Picard comm badge.
I will geek out so hard I'll need a shower.
That's my other point. That's why I don't think it will be Guinan. At least not like we think it'll be Guinan. Because if it is, there's going to have to be like like there's going to be a lot of de-aging that has to go on right there because Guinan was Guinan for the next generation. And Whoopi
Right.
Goldberg is not that Guinan anymore.
That is
Yeah.
true, but
Well,
they
they might not
could do
de-age
it.
him. They'll keep
You know?
him recognizable.
Oh, there goes Greg
So-
for a bit.
Uh-oh.
It will be very interesting to see who the Watcher is.
Mm-hmm.
So, Carlos, what do you
and-
think of the episode itself?
I thought it was great, actually. In fact, I liked it a little bit better than I liked the second one. I feel like they're bending over backwards to do some fan service stuff, and it's generally okay. It's like not getting in the way, but they're really bending over backwards to do it. And this one, I felt like they really were just kind of getting to the point with the story and keeping it moving. And like when it came to the end, I was like, wait, that was an entire episode? Like it went so fast. The pace was that good. So that says a lot to me. I liked a lot of the character dynamics we saw in it, like the little like sniping between Seven and Rafi was great. I love how much Rafi loves Elnor. She loves Elnor as much as Travis loves Elnor.
Well, see,
I could hear
well,
Travis scream when about
I heard
Eleanor.
Travis's sorrow
Yeah.
very clearly.
So here's the thing that when we talk about Rafi and her love for Elnor, I mean, like her caring for Elnor, period. You got to remember, Rafi is a mother who basically has no son at this point.
Right.
Because her son, like, straight up left her over all the conspiracy stuff, even though she was proven correct.
We don't know if they've been reconciled yet.
It sounds like they haven't,
No,
because
it was-
she's projected
it was-
all of that, transferred all of that onto Elnor.
It was pretty clear from the episode where she meets her son, period, that her son was going forward having zero to do with her, period, because he was
Yeah.
marrying a Romulan.
Yeah,
Period.
all
of that shit, all of that built up motherliness, all of that shit transferred to Elnor. Because Elnor is literally this innocent Romulan, period. Elnor thinks the galaxy works a whole lot different than it actually does. He knows he's supposed to die for a cause, but like everything else is like this weirdly childlike innocence. And of course, Rafi is going to be a mother to all that.
And my favorite line, as he was dying, apparently, did you just make your first joke?
I mean, it's not like, like, Romulans have emotions. They can make jokes. It's just that Elnor was more Vulcan than he was Romulan.
Elnor was a straight man. He takes everything literally. He speaks his mind, and he doesn't. He has
absolute
difficulty
candor.
Understanding abstracts.
Because he was raised in an all-female group of absolute candor.
Mhm.
Yeah. He was many times unintentionally funny. This was the first time he was intentionally funny.
Hey, Travis can rest easy knowing that very likely he did see a cat.
And if not a cat, at least a Cation. It was Starfleet Academy, after all.
That's right.
True.
There
That's
are
Probably
cat
slept
girls
with
in
one of them.
Starfleet.
Probably slept with a couple of them.
Justin.
I mean, come on.
Justin.
No, I'm behind. I'm with Justin on this. I'm with Justin on this.
God.
Elnor is literally a Romulan. Romulans don't like just give up on their emotions. They're not Vulcans.
They're not Vulcans.
He was never emotionless. He just has
He
difficulty
just wasn't
expressing them
funny.
in anything other than a blunt manner.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure Elnor went to bed with whatever Orion tried to seduce him in Starfleet, just because he didn't fucking understand.
Any other thoughts on the episode, Carlos?
I think that covers it. I'm still interested in sort of the big picture. What's wrong with Q? What is motivating him to do this? There's clearly something wrong with Q. Something that has to be fixed by Picard and the crew. So I'm interested in finding out what that is. The identity of the Watcher. I hope it's doesn't end up being something disappointing. I want to be bowled over by it. I want to find out who it is and go, oh, that is such a good choice. So hopefully next week that is what I will say, and if not, then I will be an angry person or a disappointed person.
Justin,
Well,
what did you think of the episode?
I thought the episode was fantastic. I loved the music cues that they used. Borg theme, reverse context, still gives me chills to this day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Whenever that played, I was like, "Oh shit, something's about to go down." And then the queen was like, "Oh here, let me do this for you." And this is, everything the way it played out, the time jump, I mean, it was perfect. And I still think Girardi is the Borg queen we see on the Stargazer at the start of all this. Because
I agree.
when have we ever seen the Borg queen that is covered? All features, her features are covered, her face and everything.
When have we ever seen a spiky danger vulva?
Star Trek.
The motion picture.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, it was a spiky. It was a spiky tampon with a hole in it that Spock entered.
Oh my God! It was
many sphincters.
Anyways.
Too much information.
Alrighty. So, anyways, back to the yeah. That's why I think Girardi is the Borg. It's going to end up getting seduced by the Queen, and it's going to It's going to be the one to try to fix everything.
I don't think that's what happens at all. She's not seduced by the Queen. She takes over the Queen. She ends up being in control.
Yeah, that could be too. But she's going to try to fix everything in the future, and I guess that's what started this whole slave ride to begin with. We'll find out. Time travel in Star Trek's always a fun ride. But yeah, other than that, as for the Watcher, I wasn't thinking Gary 7, but that would not surprise me at the least. That would be a very reasonable thing, considering that's about, he would still be
alive.
In and around. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they could de-age him very easily. I mean, look what they did with Delancey at the start of the thing. So,
they don't have to de-age him. Why would they have to de-age him?
I mean, he is rather old now, ain't he?
Yeah, so he's old. So what?
Yeah.
It's Star Trek Picard. It's all about old people.
Yeah.
An old person.
Well, just an old person walking from one place to the other.
Although, is Gary Lansing alive?
Oh, no. That's what I was saying. Could it be the Watcher? I thought he passed away for a while back.
Let's see if he's alive.
That's why I'm thinking it's either Guinan or
Robert Lansing.
Either the original Watcher before Wesley getting her original Traveler.
It's not going to be Wesley. That's ridiculous.
What about the original Traveler?
Blech.
No?
They're more galactic in. They watch. They don't interfere in a. I don't know.
Watcher.
Watcher one. It's going to be someone we know of who is in that time period, not someone who comes from somewhere.
Well, then it's going to have to be Guinan or another
Gary 7
or another Gary.
Gary's the actor Robert Lansing died he died a long time ago, 1994.
So it might be another either maybe a Gary 8.
No, it'll be Gary 7. It just will be by a different actor. They recast plenty of people.
Like James Bond is always James Bond. It just changes. It's just a name given to the new James Bond.
Mm.
I mean, they recast what's his name?
They did kind of foreshadow the whole. Dang it! What was his character's name?
Icheb.
No, the doctor from Discovery.
From Discovery.
Culber?
Yeah, no.
Pollard?
Cronenberg.
What
do you mean recast?
David Cronenberg's character.
Yeah.
What about doctor? They They had this.
Oh,
had the
they
Picard badge.
foreshadowed that he was Gary Seven. That
They
he
had the
could be Gary
they had
Seven.
the Picard badge in front of him when they were talking about first contact with the 10C, and while they were talking about contact, he said a line like, "It's my job to make sure that the space-time continuum stays safe."
He says that at the end of the conversation when he goes off to do his own thing.
Right.
And takes the one dude with him.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he also used a culturally present reference, the 3-hour tour.
Yeah, the 3-hour tour.
Yeah,
those were all
which
hints,
makes
for
sense.
sure.
If he was on Earth in the 1960s, he definitely would have seen it on his first run.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
All right. Any final thoughts, Justin?
Well, like I said, next episode, looks like it. Rios is going to be in some trouble. I love that was his transporter scene that fucked up, I guess, and dropped him half a story up to the ground.
I love the way he fell. That thud was awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's like, oh, that had to hurt. Seven's transporter entrance with the little girl.
And that was sweet.
You're transporting to 2024 in the middle of superhero hype in movies.
Yeah,
perfect way to play that off.
And she plopped down right in the middle, and she had an oh shit moment on her face when she seen the kid, and she just kind of went with it, and she kind of felt that it seemed to feel at ease. Let's see here. I definitely think. I think we'll get the Rios jailbreak next episode, which should be fun.
What do you guys think of the doctor and her son? I love the kid.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, playing with the combat.
I hope she continues to play a role.
Oh, I suspect so, because I expect they'll break her out too.
Well, she's a citizen, so she'll probably end up being okay. We'll see.
Hopefully.
From the sounds of it, it's not her first run-in with the law.
Yeah.
So hopefully, all that will be next week. I mean, I like the pacing of the episode so far. They haven't been boring. They haven't been slow. No interludes, as we like to call them, like in Discovery. I said interlude, not filler.
They contribute to the overall plot and make the entire story richer as a result.
Yeah, they're tripping.
These episodes should still tell a complete story, though. Excuse me. That's what I mean by filler, is that it should still be a complete story, not just
filler implies non-useful, extraneous, and pointless.
I'm high on
like Bleach episodes.
So Ross thinks of filler as like the salt in seasoning. We talk about filler as if it's the lettuce in a sandwich.
That's why you use spinach.
It's still filler though.
Spinach adds flavor
and texture.
And texture, yes.
When
I say filler, I'm thinking most of Dragon Ball Z.
Well, when you say filler, I think the entirety of Star
Trek. But to me, I use filler simply, and in fact, I think the term that I used when I criticized it in our last episode was I used the term setup episode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and
I can accept that. That's
and that's where, again, where I feel like they don't tell a complete story, and every episode should tell a complete story. It should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And this kind of one basically just has a beginning and a middle, and so you feel like something is missing, and it's iron, and other key nutrients. Anyway,
so my take on this episode.
Son, what's what you think?
We rate.
So. Justin's not alone in thinking that Girardi is the other Borg Queen. From the standpoint of, we've only sure, we've only seen them. Well, we've not even seen. We've only heard them talk about the Borg being decimated and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of put this image into our head. Well, put it into my head that this ship that shows up is probably the last ship. This is her colony hive, basically, of the Borg. And that may not be the case. This could literally be a future Borg come back to set off this chain of events.
It could be a future Borg. It also could be a Borg. If you imagine that essentially Agnes ends up assimilating the Queen, they've already shown her turn the tables on her.
Right.
And that this is a Borg ship and drones that are created in the past that have come into the future.
Mm-hmm. I honestly I agree with you, just not entirely. I think what we've seen in this episode with Jurati and the Queen is that we have a Jurati that is understandably way too autistic to be fully assimilated by the Queen.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
It's like just the Queen is fascinated by her, by all of the facets of things that she could assimilate her for. But the Queen is literally just running. Well, like she said, when she enters the humor room, it's just a bunch of mirrors for deflection. The Borg Queen is literally in a hall of doors, and she's just going room to room to room. And Picard is freaking out, man, because it seems like the Borg Queen is getting closer and closer and closer. And yet Jurati is not only letting this happen, Jurati is letting a whole bunch of shit work on in the background. And the Borg Queen's like, the fuck did you just do? But not only have we had that happen, at the same time, what Picard said actually happened. Well, I mean, he didn't say it flat out. We have the seed of the Queen's assimilation in Jurati. Because Jurati says flat out, well, I mean, as flat out as she can, she also has the rest of the information. She just has to remember it. She stole everything from the Queen. She just has to remember it, which is a reference to Seven, actually. When Seven was disconnected from the Queen for a while, and Janeway was talking to her, Seven said something to the effect of, I had access to all this information, but it's a lot more limited now that I'm disconnected from the Borg. I still have it in my head, I just can't access it. So that's a great reference. But we're going to see Jurati not take the not necessarily take the assimilation that she would. I agree with you, Carlos. She becomes the Queen and makes the Queen a drone. They're not going to they may wind up having this big, huge, massive fight at some point or whatever, but you have the seeds of the assimilation starting now, which would explain all of the amazing shit Jurati does later in her red dress.
Yeah.
With all the being able to run and jump over cars and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, that's everything that they talk about the Borg being able to do, even though all the Borg we've ever seen have been like super clunky everything. So
they've been Romero zombies, not rage zombies.
It would make sense to see the Borg in a new, faster, almost, I don't know, xenomorph-like light. If they're faster than humans, able to do stuff that humans can't do, like have super strength and whatever, and be able to withstand radiations and all that kind of stuff that we've seen Seven do. I really think this is that setup for Jurati becoming a queen and then taking over. That aside, God, Rafi is a bitch when her son dies. Yikes.
Yeah, she was pretty.
Because, like,
She was Travis. I mean, we all know that's what way Travis would have acted.
Justin, come on.
well, no. Here's the thing. As prickly as she was not wrong a single moment of it.
Nope.
Because the first words out of her mouth were "damn you" and Q to Picard. Because if Picard had just fucking listened to Q as Q was talking, he'd understand half the shit that was going on.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's actually he has had that problem with Q over and over again, where he just gets so pissed off at him that he doesn't listen when Q is actually trying to make a point to him. And we saw that happen again. And that's why that slap was so satisfying.
I loved it.
Because he was like, pay attention for once. Because he should have been paying attention.
Because, like,
awesome.
Because, like, remember, all good things. Within the first 5 minutes of Q being there, he literally says what's going on. It takes Picard the entire fucking episode to realize that what Q said was, "You're the cause." Q said it at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You're the cause.
Listen, Picard. Damn, you got a new synth body. You think you got new synth ears too? Jesus.
Well, to be fair, he did get thrown off with that one Robin Hood scenario, so probably colors everything in a bad light.
Even that was a lesson.
What was the lesson in the Robin Hood episode?
Picard needed to, find fucking love.
And settle down, and
which is still
a problem Picard has.
Still a problem, but now we're getting a sense as to why. Like, remember, it's actually a through line for Picard that I admire that they're dealing with, because remember, when Spock met Picard and he said, "You're more Vulcan than I am," or something like that, or no wonder my father, melded with you because you're more Vulcan than he believed his son ever was. Mm-hmm. And and then we have this thing where he's always had problem with romantic relationships, and and that he's well known for being sort of this stoic guy, and now we're finally seeing hints about what the origin of that is, and the origin of that is trauma.
Yep.
An abusive childhood.
Apparently.
And we saw another instance of that in that preview for the next episode. There's a scene, in the dark where it looks like his mother is holding him as a child, in that green room or whatever.
It looks like another flashback to his first remembrance.
Mm-hmm. I honestly, like I said last week, I honestly think that these seasons being filmed concurrently like they are well, I'll put it this way. In 3 seasons, this season seems a lot more put together than the last season was. The last season was kind of all over the place, with Picard being this, that, or the other. At least Picard seems more Picard this season. Like all the rationale and stuff is there, and at the same time, something in me really truly feels like the whole Confederation and then the going back in the past and all of that seems like it's the A plot of this season is the B plot of the entire season.
Mm.
And that the A plot of this season deals with the Borg Queen and basically Patrick Stewart kind of working through the abuse of his mother through the episode.
It was his father that was abusive, not his mother.
No, his mother was abused.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right.
By his father. So we have which would mirror Patrick Stewart's activism entirely, because he was a champion of domestic violence first, and then slowly came to the realization that his father was also a victim, even though he was an abuser. which
Hmm.
makes
Right.
me think that we're going to be dealing with the Borg Queen being a stand-in for Picard's mother, especially given that in the first episode, the Borg Queen goes, "Look up Picard."
Yeah.
And that the second
Not the
season's
cutest.
and that the third season's A plot is going to be reconciling whatever the hell is wrong with Q, because Q is going to be the stand-in for Patrick Stewart's father.
Mm, I like that theory.
Well, I find that highly possible. All right.
All right, I think
well,
you're firing on all thrusters this week,
Yeah.
son.
absolutely.
I did have to mention though, Rafi, when she shows up, she teleports into a sanctuary district
Yeah.
Mhm.
with the Europa advertisement in the background. Oh God, that uses a fragment of the Star
To
Trek
boldly
quote in it.
go.
There you go. It's like
Which
to boldly
which one?
go. The
Right.
the
Yeah.
Europa advertisement for a Europa exploration. Um, the security guard scene in the fucking tower. I am not funner than Kevin, or Kevin is not funner than me. God, see, I like. There had to have been a couple of years in between season 1 and season 2 starting.
I think they said about a year.
It had to have been more than a year.
Yeah, I talked about this last week, and the reason why is that
Elnor is graduating the academy.
he was graduating the academy, which is a 4-year program.
There is an audio drama that details some adventures of Seven and Rafi in
Mhm.
between seasons 1 and 2. I
Yeah,
haven't listened
but-
yet, but it's on my list.
Which
as
would
we know, sadly, audio and books don't count.
unless they're
they say they do.
explicitly yeah. Which I think they actually mentioned these were canon at one point.
Justin, could you not be a buzzkill, please?
Sorry. Someone's gotta be
Well, but
contrarian.
I think the idea is, though, let's try to figure out what clues there are about what kind of a time frame we're talking about, because they really haven't made it very clear. And
Right.
the on-screen clues we see make it seem like it's more than a year. I see a lot of people jumping to the conclusion it's a year, but I haven't seen anything specifically in any of the episodes that indicates that.
It's been a fair amount of time, that's for sure.
It's been
But
enough time for.
I mean, it definitely had to be a long time, because Girardi was cleared of murder charges because of acts of temporary insanity, because of a mind meld.
George theory, I guess.
Oh God.
Jabon was eventually killed by the attack on the Picard estate by the Zhat Vash. Because he gets shot and the only thing he does is take off his jacket, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have cut that scene out if he did get shot. Just to save time, because of the season 1 they're pressed for time getting everything done, so they could have cut that out, and we may never know until they decide to release it.
I'm running on the theory that even the grazed shot where all he had to do was take off his jacket was just kind of poisoned him to death eventually.
Well, yeah, those disruptors.
All right. The timer on the clock says we've been at this for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, so we've already covered all of our small topics, and we were just doing the reviews while you're waiting on you. So all the small topics are already covered.
Yep.
We did that before show, so yeah, we didn't miss out anything. So we decided to do that first, so we can at least get our reviews in and be done with it. So
that was awfully kind of you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Let's see here. Everyone got their review in of a card. Carlos.
Did we do ratings? Did we do ratings?
I have not been doing rating for Picard.
10 out of 10.
We haven't really been doing ratings when we're rating episodes, just because it's kind of arbitrary and subjective, and well,
I mean, that's kind of the point. I don't feel that strongly about him. I was just curious because we did do it for Discovery.
For me, hey, it was good. It was great. It was okay. That's enough for me.
So 10 out of 10.
Oh, it was. What was my gushing?
Your
emotional...
effusiveness insufficient.
You almost orgasmed on stream. So yeah.
Excuse you. Whoa. Excuse you. Nerdgasm. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess we'll move on to what we are watching since we got our reviews.
I want to add. I want to say one last thing.
Yes.
About Picard before we move on, and that's that I hope that the thing with Laris happens at some point, even if it's the end of the season, and that would be on par with Saru and Tarina for me, or as I'm now referring to them, Serena.
Okay, like La Serena.
No, like
hi. Oh, Serena. I still think, yeah.
Although funny, that was funny, son. But
there you go. Yeah.
What would Picard and Paris be? Paris.
and we'll always have Paris. Yeah,
I love it.
I always.
Well,
at
least it's not Tom Paris.
Of Picard settling with Anij on the Baku planet, we'd have the immortal Picard, and every now and again we'd have some Starfleet officer coming to him to convince him to go back, and a recreation of the scene from the comic book Kingdom Come, when Wonder Woman tries to convince Clark to get out of the Hollow Farm and come fight for truth and justice again.
And
a better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was that whole episode of TOS with God, what was his face? Because they changed him in First Contact.
Zephyr Cochrane.
There you go. There was the TOS episode with Zephyr Cochrane, where he was like stuck on a planet
with a caretaker that he really kept him alive, but he couldn't really communicate with her.
But yeah, anyways,
Justin, what are you watching?
I watched the Adam Project this week and finally finished it up. And what a fun movie!
I still haven't seen that.
It's fun. You'll enjoy the hell out of it for Ryan Reynolds flick. It is surprisingly funny.
Well, there you go. It's a Ryan Reynolds movie. It should be good.
It should be funny.
It is.
If it's not good, it's what? The Green Arrow or whatever the hell that movie was?
No, Green Lantern.
Okay, there you go.
And even that was mildly funny, but the rest of it just made it look like crap, I guess. I don't know, but let's see. Other than that, that's really only the major thing other than unpacking and just trying to settle in at the new place and all my YouTube stuff. So, yeah, other than that, Carlos, what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? This was a super busy week for me at work, so other than just keeping up with Picard and Discovery, was there anything else that I watched? I caught up on last week's Gilded Age, which I've been watching on HBO Max, and there was no new Superman and Lois this week, which bummed me out.
I noticed that. I was looking for that.
But I have been really enjoying that this season.
Same here.
And I think that's it for me this week. I will do better next week because I definitely want to watch Adam Project and some other things.
Yep.
All right, son. How about you?
So, like I said earlier, this episode in the podcast, I finally saw Sonic the Hedgehog this week. So, yeah, I was that. Yeah, no, that was really cute and really awesome. And then I saw the trailer for 2, and I want more. Especially when you see the poster, and I shit you not, the poster for 2, they mimicked the box art for Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
So, yeah, no, they're pulling out all the stops to shove as much to Sonic the Hedgehog 2 as they can into the movie 2.
It goes to show you, folks, cyberbullying works when you do it to corporations.
Yes. Other than that, this week, Mark A. Largent, who is the person who releases the Stalled Trek, finally released a trailer for Stalled Trek: The City on the Edge of Foreclosure. Which is, if you remember, Stalled Trek is the puppet parody Star Trek.
Oh yes,
that he does.
They unfortunately did an Axanar version, which actually I thought was pretty funny. But
Yeah.
But he regrets it.
Does he?
Well,
It's
I mean,
parody
I don't think
Trek.
he has.
It's making fun of everything.
Yeah.
well, at least if anything, that'll be one of the only Axanars they ever got made.
But
Yes.
yeah, they finally released the trailer, and they said, I believe the trailer said it would be coming out later this year, the entire episode. So I look forward to that. Terminal Montage, who most of you may not know, is an animator on YouTube who is known for his faithful Christian Kerbo, which most people have been referring to it. It's basically a Christian Kirby character. And he released this wild series about Kirby and all of those games. He released a new video this week about speed running Pikmin, and it's hilarious. Yes, like at one point, one of the, I think it's not Omar, I think it's Leo from the second one that he's using in this one. And at one point, the guy's got to go find one last part, and that one last part is a VHS tape of Mike and me, or Mac and me. That's it. The alien and the little kid. Yeah. And it's a VHS tape that he has to throw into the ship before it'll work and he can fly away. So it's amazing. That's amazing. Lastly, Mike Burnfire, which is a duo. Mike and Zach are two former soldiers that play video games, and they kind of comment and like riff on them as they're playing them. Most notably, they play like Fallout 4 mods and stuff, but their channel has been uploading them playing through Outer Wilds recently, which is the space game that I played when I first started streaming. And it's been, I love watching people explore games that are meant to be explored, and discovered. And watching these guys who joke nonstop about stuff just start exploring Outer Wilds has been absolutely fantastic.
Yep. That sounds good. Tony, we try to keep our shows at 2 hours. Sometimes we run over a little bit when we have a lot of exciting
Hour
stuff.
50 is what I want to shoot for.
Yeah. I mean, mainly because we know we can do it. We've done it before. It's just like we get to talking, we get gushing over stuff like this, and in some cases,
or we explore deep concepts.
Yes, or we have to catch up on a couple episodes because we weren't here before. We tend to run a little bit longer, so it happens now again. But we try not to go too late because we're old, damn it.
Yeah, that's what happens when we don't crack the whip on time. As for me, well, I broke down and got a subscription to Warhammer Plus a couple weeks ago, actually. Caught up on some of the original content that they've got on that app. It's all Warhammer 40k and fantasy content, of course, but there's a lot of fun stuff. There's an anthology series called Hammer and Bolter that takes a different look at different aspects of the breadth of the universe, and there's some really fun ones there. One was a group of elite chaos terminators trying to fight their way through a Necron tomb, and only to realize at the end that they're actually caught in what's called a Tesseract Vault, a kind of pocket dimension where they're forced to continuously relive this experience over and over again, but it ends differently each time. And it is there for the sole purpose of amusement of a deathless Necron who is lost since transferring his body from organic to mechanics, has kind of been at a loss for entertainment, so he makes his own. And watching these Terminators make their way through again and again and again is endlessly amusing for him. But most recently is the series The Exodite, which is having its 3rd episode out soon. It's about a bunch of Tau warriors in stealth suits, such as this, looking for a Eldar infiltrator who is sowing
Hold it
dissent.
up one more time, Ross.
What?
You held it up so quickly, no one got a chance to look at it. There you go.
This camera. Okay. Tau stealth suit.
There you go. Much better.
Out looking for an Eldari Exodite who is sowing dissent and prolonging a war between the Tau and the Imperium of Man. The Tau are the underdogs of the 41st millennium, and although they have rapidly advancing technology, the Imperium of Man has a lot of resources. And if they give the Tau too much attention, they get squished. So they want to end the war as quickly as possible.
I hate it when that happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
But that's about it for me, aside from my usual YouTube stuff. So lore videos, painting tutorials, and the like.
Cool deal. Well, I think that will do us for this week.
That will be-
We won't be doing Florida Man this week because we are running on a 3-hour show.
I like how the human empire in Warhammer 40k has a planet of nothing but fucking apiaries for fucking honey.
Yeah. Yep. It's so big they relegate entire planets to a single industry because they're that inefficient and wasteful.
Yeah.
But hey,
Well,
I recently found out they have cat girls.
everybody has a cat girl.
Canonical
alright.
cat girls.
Well,
And cat boys.
And cats on cannons. And cats in cannons being fired
Yes.
across the battlefield.
At actual space orcs.
Alrighty.
Anyway,
Well,
that'll conclude our show for tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's an absolute pleasure to hang out and geek out with all of you. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, I'll be better set up and actually
on
have my Twitch going,
time.
so you guys can actually, bully me throughout the show and get me
On
to
time.
sing and stretch and do squats and all that fun stuff.
And we get to,
Interrupt
and we
my
get to hear you
monologues.
do your introduction in your mellifluous tones.
Yes, the superhero voice shall return.
Exactly.
But yep, thank you guys. And some.
Do you know who did Space Orcs first? John Carter of Mars. Remember,
Yes.
everyone, you are loved and appreciated by just your being you.
And until next time, remember to live, to love, and to play every day. Play us
We'll
out,
see you.
Justin.
And we'll see y'all next week. Have a safe
And-
time.
Harumph. Come on, Ross.
See you,
dance.
Brenda.
I am dancing.
I am dancing. Thanks, Brenda.
And good night. And play outro in.